and this is the CS50 Fair. We're here in Northwest Science at Harvard University. Behind me are some 200 students, just the first of 4 shifts today, during which CS50 students are going to be presenting as many as 800 final projects in total. In attendance are not only our students, but also students, faculty, and staff from outside of CS50 from across campus, in addition to popcorn and candy and cotton candy and so much more. Here as well are some of our friends from industry, including Google and Microsoft and Facebook and so many others as well. And finally, a fabulous raffle with fabulous prizes. This is the CS50 Fair, and if you're here in Cambridge, come to 52 Oxford Street today, anytime between 11:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We would love to see you here at the CS50 Fair. This is CS50.
Here with 2 of the students at the CS50 Fair talking about some of their projects, Michael and Michael. So what did you guys do for your final project for CS50?
One of our blockmates is co-manager for the Quincy Grill, and we've always imagined like a way to order from your room or something and then be notified when you could come to the grill and pick up your order instead of waiting there the whole time. So we made a website for that.
Okay. Can you show me how it works?
Yeah. So I'm already logged in, and some features we have are a menu. It has all the items and how much each one of them costs. And kind of like the core of our project is being able to order online. So if I submitted an order, right here. Let's say I wanted some mod sticks.
Good choice.
Quincy Classic. You can now see on like the homepage orders from all of the people who have submitted orders right now. So you can kind of tell how busy the grill is. And
so this is a live queue of everyone who's ordered, not just your orders?
Correct.
Okay.
And since my account is kind of an employee account, when the order is done, I can click done.
Okay.
And then somebody would be able to go to their order status and see that their order is ready, so they'd know to come down to the grill.
Okay, awesome. And then you can just go down and pick it up.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the fair. Tune in next. We're going to interview a couple more projects. Thank you for tuning in.
Hi, I'm Analia. This is Sean, a student in CS50, about to tell us about his final project. Sean, let's get started. Go ahead and tell us what we're looking at.
Hi, I'm a student over at the Harvard Kennedy School, and I'm actually here on an Army fellowship. And I've long been frustrated by somewhat disorganized military websites when you're trying to find services such as clinics, recreation facilities, that sort of thing. So I set out to make that a little bit easier for military families. Here's an example of one of these websites. You can see it's not that user-friendly. It takes a bunch of clicks to find what you're looking for. And I wanted to make that a little bit easier. So I scraped all of this data using some scripts in Python and sent them over to get geocoded via a service that Google offers, and overlaid them on a Google Maps overlay, where it is quite a bit easier to see everything. And we got some custom icons here. We can get directions to any of these, and just a little bit easier to use.
Amazing. So I think this is going to be a real asset to a lot of military families trying to find, some dental services or like the grocery store or something on camp. So amazing job. Looks like it's going to be really useful.
Yeah, very excited about it. My wife actually got married, and she had some difficulty finding this stuff, so I'm hopeful that other families in that position will be able to use this, and it'll be a little bit easier for them.
Great. So how have you found the course? How have you found the final project? Were there any major challenges you want to talk about, or?
I did have a couple challenges. Getting the geocoding data from Google proved to be a little bit more difficult than expected, but I was able to work through that with trial and error. And yeah, other than that, just the challenge of working with a large amount of data. Overall, I've really enjoyed the course. I found it very useful. It was quite a bit of work, but definitely worth it. I think it has really expanded my appreciation of what you can do with computers, and really how important they are to really everything we do now. So I think it's very pertinent for really students of any discipline.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Awesome project. Congratulations.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here with.
I'm Peter.
I'm Peter as well.
Oh, amazing.
We're both
Peter.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, where are you guys living this year?
I'm a sophomore in Quincy House studying computer science.
And I'm a sophomore in Kirkland House studying applied math.
Nice, amazing. All right, so why don't you tell me a little about your project?
All right, so what we did, or what we have, is Tetris on a website. And once you first get to this main page, you could choose to register and then log in or play as a guest. So So let's just play as a guest, and then it takes you to this main page, and then you can click on play, where it'll take you to a game of Tetris.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit how you coded this. What sort of language did you use? How did all that?
So we have a bit of a story. So first we coded Tetris in Python using Pygame, which was a lot easier than what we ended up doing.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, so well, relatively, right? Relatively easier.
Yeah.
It's still so we first did it in Python, but what happened was we realized that it wouldn't work because we needed a Python shell or some shell of some kind to graphically display the game correctly. But we realized that it wouldn't work in a browser, and we found out after talking to some tutors who were very well versed in computer science. So, and they suggested we try something like JavaScript. So what we did was we started from scratch, more or less. I mean, the logic is still the same
Right.
in both
so
languages.
at least you basically had
Right.
a pseudocode version of what you were doing.
Right. So it just came down to knowing what kind of functions you had in JavaScript, knowing the references and all that. So it works.
It's amazing. It looks wonderful.
Thank
right.
you.
How did you guys find the course?
I thought it was enjoyable. I thought around week 5 or 6 it got really, really challenging, especially with server. But overall, I enjoyed the course, and I thought it was a great experience. Just overall with the CS50 Fair, with the hackathon, with just overall, it was a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I really liked the course too. I mean, there were times when, you needed to put in a lot of time to finish up P-sets, but I think overall it was a rewarding experience.
Absolutely. It looks like you guys did a great job. Congratulations on your final project, and thanks so much for the interview.
Thank you.
We're back at the CS50 Fair, this time with Miles. He's done a pretty cool integrated project with both engineering and computer science. Miles, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you did?
Well, this is Crazy Flying with the Leap Motion Controller, and I built this Crazy Fly Nano Quadcopter. It is a dev kit developed by BitCraze, and this is the Leap Motion Controller. It allows me to take infrared images of my hand at a microsecond scale, and I can change the height, roll, and pitch of my hand to move the quadcopter any way I want. And it can also observe my gestures to do things like start the quadcopter or change the mode of flight.
Can we see it work?
Sure. So to start it up, basically, I have to draw 2 circles with my finger. So now the quadcopter is going, and to fly it, just change the height.
It's pretty impressive.
Thanks. And when it's in waiting mode like this, I can change the mode just by pointing forward, and it sets it into extreme mode, so I get a lot more control over it, but I'll turn it off because we're in a very small space here in Northwest Labs.
Right, the height's not so conducive to flying drones in here.
Give it another shot.
Very cool. Now, did you have any prior coding experience before you took CS50?
No, I've actually had no prior coding experience at all. This was an engineering project that I decided to take on. I had never ever soldered a lead before or coded a program, but it's definitely possible.
Awesome. Now, what was your favorite part about CS50?
Office hours, definitely. Definitely makes the experience.
Thanks so much. Now, this is just one example of how someone with absolutely no prior experience can come in and at the end of just one semester build a motion-controlled drone. So thanks, Miles, for your time. Tune in next. We're going to come up with a couple of other student projects and talk about theirs.
Hi, I'm here at the CS50 Fair with...
I'm Sherry.
I'm Everett.
And they have a pretty cool boat racer project they want to share with us. So why don't you go ahead and tell us more about your project, maybe demo it?
So this is going to be like a boat racer game. It looks a bit like GTA, but it's more of a boat racing-esque thing rather than the premise of GTA. You're meant to, so as you can see, the boat is moving around using the arrow keys. You're meant to go around, do the full lap, try and get the best time you can. You've got a bunch of obstacles, ramps, balls, everything, and it measures your time. Yeah, and we made this in Unity, which is like a 3D modeling game engine. where you can build the game engine, build a 3D world, and then put scripts on each object in the game world.
Great.
So as you can see, Everett's going, navigating through the walls. And then these ramps took a while to make because the physics of the game are like really like specific. So if you don't get the right physics down, it looks really weird and it starts flying everywhere. Like as you see in our video, we show this, that in our first couple of versions, the boat was like flying and doing jumps everywhere. But in this version, it's more sort of streamlined.
Amazing. Do you
Thank
want to
you,
talk about do you have any like major challenges while coding this game? Do you want to talk a little bit about that as well, perhaps?
Well, the biggest challenge was sharing our code because Unity really wants you to buy the pro version, but we had the free version, so sharing our code was pretty difficult. And in fact, we came over one problem where we tried to put my code onto Sherry's code and try and mix them together, and it wiped all of her code, so we had to redo it all over again. Poor Sherry. But yeah, it was still fun to make, and we really loved Unity. It was a great system.
Amazing.
Thank you
Beautiful.
very much. Yeah.
Right. Does anyone else want to talk about the design process, or feel like you've covered everything?
Well, one other thing that was a lot of fun is just if you look at the terrain, you can see that there's a lot of design that goes in there, and especially the graphics in the water. You can see that there's a little bit of movement in there, and it really we learned a lot about graphical design and what really goes into making games look visually appealing as opposed to just mechanically a lot of fun to play as well.
Right. Absolutely.
So that was it was a fun learning curve, yeah.
Amazing. How did you find the course? How did you find CS50?
Well, I thought it was it was a challenging course for me personally, but I really learned a lot. Very rewarding. I thought the problem sets too were really well designed. We covered a lot of different material, like building websites, making our own servers, all that different stuff. And so I feel that I can come out of this course knowing a lot about different coding and a lot of languages, and I'm pretty confident about that. So.
I think the course really set me up to like learn other code and sort of like progress in computer science, because this one was written in C#. We didn't go over that in class, but it really helped us to develop, like we were able to learn C# pretty well with our
Amazing.
background. Yeah.
How was working in C#? That was what I did as a freshman as well, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It wasn't that much different from C, but it had some different functions, and also working with Unity, they had different libraries, but yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Amazing. Well, congratulations, guys. Great job on your final project. Enjoy the fair. Hi, I'm here with Brooke and Will, who have a robotic arm to show us for their final project. So it looks like a lot of students mostly just do software. What made you guys decide you also wanted to do hardware?
We really wanted to learn about Arduino, and we are really interested in like mechanical motion as well. So we thought this would be a really cool project to work on.
So want to talk about any design challenges you had while designing this? I'm going to start with that before we demo so people can understand kind of a little more appreciation for the mechanical aspect of your project.
There were actually a lot of design challenges, because in computer coding, a lot of times when you make a mistake, you're like, oh, it's somewhere in my code. But with this project, you never knew if it was how you wired the breadboard or how you set up the wires to your motors or the code. So there was a lot of room for error, and like you actually taught us how to use things to check, like with LED lights, instead to check your code and then check each part of the project.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the ARM itself was simple because we designed it in SolidWorks, and we only had 2 motors, so it was quite simple to work on that design.
And we originally wanted to be able to control it with the keypad on our computer, but we learned that with Arduino and Serial and like translating back that information is a lot more complicated, and so we decided to go with the buttons on the breadboard to make it actually makes the interface for the user a little bit easier, but also to make the coding a little bit make more sense.
All right, amazing. Why don't we jump into demoing the project? So tell us kind of like, get it going, walk us through, show us what's going on.
So right now it's in the unlock state. So what we did is we added a passcode with the buttons, the 4 buttons. And Will, can you explain the 2 degrees of motion?
So we have 2 motors. One motor controls the up and down movement of the arm, and the other motor controls the platform, so the arm can move left to right.
Yeah, and each degree of motion has a button to correspond with it. And we also programmed our Arduino to talk back to our computer through what is called a serial monitor, which is kind of just like your normal terminal window in any other coding language, to tell you what you are doing or show the states, because we implemented a switch statement in this. And so
so tell me a little bit more about like what do you mean by states for the program?
So we created 3 states for the program. So the first state is the lock state, which means that if I press any of these buttons, it's not going to move. So I just pressed that button, it didn't move. But we also created a second state, which is a confirmation to check your password against the password that's stored in the computer, which you can change. And then the third state is unlock, which just basically means the buttons are functioning as position keys to move. So right now in serial, is it not connecting? Okay, there we go. It's connecting, so it's popping up in state 1, so that means that state 1, it's locked right now. So if I enter the wrong code,
Yeah, nothing's happening. Perfect.
it's happening, yeah. So now that I just entered the right code, I just did, which was 3 buttons of the up button, and then this is the confirmation button, the down button. It popped to 2. And then by the fact, if I had entered the wrong code, it would have gone 2 and then back to 1, because it would have said, oh, we checked it, it's wrong, send you back to state 1. But it moved us to state 3, and so now we can move in the different directions with all the different buttons. So,
Amazing.
yeah, there's our prototype for robotic arm.
Great job. Congratulations, guys. How did you find CS50?
I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I learned how to learn, which is what was most important. So, had fun.
Yeah, the logic thinking behind it was kind of fun and a lot interesting. It was actually kind of interesting because like the on and switch statements and coding is very similar to what you do in physics with wiring and doing breadboards. So it was interesting to apply that same logic but to a more physical task.
Absolutely. Amazing. Well, congratulations, guys. Great job on your final project, and enjoy the rest of the fair. All right, I'm here at the CS50 Fair with a team who has created a random haiku generator. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Alex Ling. I'm a sophomore in Elliott House.
Hi, I'm Tong Huyen. I'm also a sophomore in Elliott House.
And after those introductions, I feel inclined to mention that I am Analia Ernst, a junior in Elliott House. So Elliott is representing quite well in this project. All right, so why don't you guys tell us a little bit about your code? How did you arrive at a haiku generator? What made you decide, like, I think the world needs more haikus?
So I guess we all really appreciate poetry, and we were interested in how we could hard code some poems and make poetry with the computer. So what we found was a group of dictionaries and word banks that were divided by syllables, noun, verb, adverb, and adjective, and we hard coded some options so that these make somewhat grammatical sense. But there are a lot of words, and each line is just like randomly chosen from the dictionaries. So they might not, you might not see these words together usually. No.
All right, do you want to go ahead and give us a demo of what's going on? Tell us a little bit more about how exactly this is going to work.
Sure, okay, so you can see here we already have a randomly generated haiku. So we are going to generate another one. So the user can either choose one of these images or pasting an image URL of their choice. So for now, I think I will just choose this image. Here we go, we have a new haiku, and for every image we actually have music to pair with it. Yep, and then if we want to try getting a different image and use that with our haiku, and here we have a haiku with a picture of the
Someone like to read the haiku that has been generated?
Heidi's cube fatly next to Joseph Leah Pleat Worser Tons Wifely.
Beautiful. Truly profound. Amazing. Well, it's a gorgeous website. Great job on the haikus. How did you find the course? What did you think of CS50?
Well, I had no CS experience coming into CS50. So, and after taking CS50, I felt like I learned a lot about coding. Like I was able to make this website, whereas like before CS50, coding was totally like unfamiliar to me. Like I had no idea like how to even write like a simple set of code. So I'm really thankful that I'm able to like learn so much from CS50.
Amazing. All right.
Yeah, ditto. And I've never programmed before, but I have a lot of friends who are super into coding, so I was just kind of curious about what makes them so interested. And that's what made me take the class.
It's been great.
Amazing. All right, well, great job on your final project. Congratulations, and enjoy the rest of the fair.
All right, we're here at the CS50 Fair with the infamous David Malin, here to ask him a few questions. Now, what was it like bridging the gap between Harvard and Yale with a computer science course this year?
It actually worked out wonderfully. We weren't sure what to expect when we brought CS50 to New Haven for the very first time, but we recruited an amazing team of some 44 teaching fellows and course assistants to actually run the local sections and office hours and CS50 lunches and more. And in fact, we have our own CS50 Fair coming up in New Haven this coming week that will follow this one here at Harvard. So we're thrilled with how the term turned out.
Very nice. Now, I noticed before you came up here you were eating some fruit snacks. So what is your favorite fruit snack flavor?
Well, we like to invest heavily in the Welch's fruit snacks. In fact, the CS50 Fair here is brought to you by Welch's. Mixed fruit, family farmer owned, in fact. No, it's really just a tradition. We've gotten these at like Costco or BJ's for years, and now it's just kind of a thing to get them every year at the fair. So when you see Welch's fruit snacks, you know you're at CS50.
Brilliant.
So you're saying the fruit snacks are really what makes this CS50?
Well, we wanted to counterbalance all of the candy and the pizza that we have in CS50, so we have fruit snacks as well, which kind of keeps things healthy.
Now, other than Welch's fruit snacks, what goes into a CS50 Fair?
A whole lot of effort on the entire team's part goes into the CS50 Fair. So we spend weeks actually getting ready in terms of the supplies that we need for the space, the balloons, the helium, the shirts, the bags, and more. We have the whole team here at 7 a.m. this morning. We were also here yesterday on a Sunday, the previous day on a Saturday, setting up the whole space that you see here. And of course, the students certainly put the most effort of anyone into getting their own projects ready. And so their deadline was noon yesterday, so that they actually have, in theory, 24 hours to sleep before today's start. Whether that actually happens is unclear.
Now, what is your favorite part about CS50?
What's my favorite part about CS50? I think it's the culture, to be honest. It's been a really interesting endeavor and experiment to see if we can bring the course and the students and the staff as well together in a way that's, dare say, atypical of a typical collegiate class. And I'd like to think that we've pulled that off with events like this, with the more intimate gatherings on Fridays when we have lunches with everyone, and then things like the hackathon, which happened just a few days ago with our friends from Yale, and CS50 Puzzle Day 3 months ago.
What do you think is the source of this CS50 culture that we're all a part of?
Thank you for saying culture and not cult. I think it's the fact that, one, it's the messaging, and I think making clear to students that the course is meant to be accessible to students, irrespective of their prior background, and making sure that the course is friendly to those less comfortable, especially. And then separate from that, but I think related fundamentally, is this idea of trying to create opportunities for people to come together, less comfortable, more comfortable in between alike, whether it is for these very casual social lunches on Friday afternoons, or to celebrate the end of a semester with projects here, or just to work on P-sets together on like a Thursday night in the middle of a beautiful large dining hall. I think just creating these many different ways in which the students and staff can interact is what ultimately we hope brings a significant portion of the class together.
All right, David, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching CS50 TV. Tune in next. We're going to keep interviewing some students and check out what they've done for their final projects.
All right, hello. I'm here with a group who has a project that is about moods and lights. So why don't you guys tell me your names?
Mirona.
Stefan.
Nebras.
All right. So how did you decide that this was something that you were interested in, something you wanted to do a project on?
Well, we thought that in the society, two very important aspects of one's life are his or her social media, because we're constantly posting online, we're expressing what we think, what we feel, and also the living environment. So we wanted to connect these two. So you develop like a deeper psychological connection with your home, and it gets you in the sense that it understands what you're posting as well online. Our motto is home lighting that gets you.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about how it works. Why do we have this Facebook thing open here as well as our app status?
So technically speaking, the way it works is that you have your web app where you can sign up, you can put in your email and all your information, your local bridge information, and this app will always try and access your Facebook feed so that whenever you post something on Facebook, it can in real time get the app and connect to our artificial intelligence backend that will classify your Facebook status by reading certain words. It has 14,000 words in its database that it can read. It can classify into 6 different emotions. So we classify on 6 dimensions, and then we get which one of these dimensions has the greatest magnitude. We get that magnitude, and we understand basically that that's how it feels. It's also slightly smarter than that. It can even detect negations. So if you're not happy, then you're sad. It can also get that. And we're still working on making it smarter, but we're thinking right now it's smart enough to get like a simple status and try to understand the feeling that's hidden beneath it.
Amazing. So can you tell me a little bit more about the feeling that Hugh is experiencing right now?
So since it's said, since the Facebook status says that the person is not excited, then the emotion here is disgust. So we can revert it back. We can, for example, post that I am excited, or yeah. So when it says I am excited, then in real time this will fetch it and says that it's some form of surprise, because excitement actually is correlated with surprise. And as we can see, the color has changed in real time. So you can imagine this in your house, where you can just log in and like put in anything that you want on your Facebook, and your house becomes part of your family because it understands you and it soothes you, and it feels this exact same thing that you feel, and it shares these best moments with you.
Amazing. That's so cool. So were there any major design challenges you want to talk about? Anything that was like really challenging with this?
Yeah, working with the Hue API was pretty hard, especially because we couldn't work with it on the Harvard network. One other thing that was very hard was connecting all the ports and connecting the Facebook API with the Hue API, connecting it with our Python algorithm to detect the feeling and to extract the mood. So I guess that were the 2 parts that we struggled the most with.
I mean, obviously also the design of the algorithm itself, because at first we had to do like some form of regular expressions that we were not familiar to in order to get rid of all the bands, get rid of to have the exact same words as within our database. Also, the negation part was actually a very clever trick. We're basically trying to save each time the user has a negation word, and that was actually a very hard thing to implement. And then again, there's also the idea that Philips Hue is not connected, like you can't access it from outside your house. So we made it cleverly so that it can use JavaScript, and all the code that actually sends is local, and at the same time the code that classifies is on the internet. So this direct AJAX connection is an asynchronous connection between the internet and your house in real time, as long as you have your app open. So that was like a very hard design challenge that we had to overcome.
Cool. It sounds like you guys handled it really well. Can you tell me a little bit about why it picks the colors it picks for the different emotions?
So we researched different academia, and based on some studies, we determined that certain colors and certain intensity of the lights are associated with certain moods. So for example, if you're feeling really down or sad or depressed, we figured out that a combination of yellow lighting and bright orange makes you feel a bit better. Or for example, if you're feeling very excited and you're surprised, there are other colors that help you get even more in that mood and enjoy it deeply.
Awesome, that's so cool. So great job on the project, guys. What did you think of CS50?
Sorry?
What did you think of the course? How was CS50?
CS50 was great. Different than I initially expected, but I definitely learned a lot and had a lot of fun.
I think I can't really think of any better way to teach introductory computer science. It gives you the basis that you need for your coding skills, and at the same time it has both depth and breadth enough for you to cover introductory computer science and tell you whether or not you want to be a computer scientist. And I think that's a key part of its educational experience. It's not just fun. It's even within your own understanding of how computer science works, it's just perfect.
From my perspective, CS50 was a great introduction to computer science. I guess it was much more intense than I expected, but it was definitely really enjoyable. And I definitely learned a lot in the course.
Excellent, amazing. Well, congratulations, guys. Great job on the final project, and enjoy the rest of the fair.
I'm at the CS50 Fair 2015, here with
Catherine Harrison.
Jeffrey Huang.
And Amelia Miller.
So guys, what did you do for your final project?
So we made a website that aggregates all of the forms that you need to fill out to book social venues. So yeah, there's various functionalities that we can look at further if you want to see them.
So do you want to talk me through the implementation and what you guys did?
Yeah.
So on our website, we have a form for booking venues on campus, and it essentially aggregates all of the fields that would normally be on a paper form, but instead it uses, our online website to email the administrator. So I'll fill out the form and we can check out the functionality.
So yeah, the way it's done currently is it's all paper forms for every different venue at Harvard, and you have to go directly to the administrator to their office like a month ahead of time to book a party. So it's a huge hassle. So we put all of the different venues on this one website and made everything electronic, so it should be a lot easier.
Well, that's awesome. Is this something that you want the Harvard to kind of pick up and use?
Yeah, so we haven't had any discussions with the administration yet because we had to finish it in time for the project, but our TFs have been pretty optimistic that it would be something they'd be interested in, so we definitely want to talk to people going forward.
Yeah, I've actually had a lot of annoyances with the whole system here, having to register your parties, walking to your tutor, getting it signed by everybody.
No, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, and it's awesome to have something now that you can actually just submit online in your dorm room.
Okay, so yeah, so here you can see it in action.
So here you can see the request, and it shows you the event description, the alcohol to be served, size, date, and time. And this is the confirmation email, so the host of whatever venue you chose also receives this email. And so then this brings into play the administrative side of our website, where we have a login. Amelia, if you want to do it.
Yeah.
You can explain.
So what we have is we have like a login function for administrators. Right now we don't have the administrator's email, but we can easily support that. So if you log in, it takes you to another tab in the nav bar where you can view all of the pending, accepted, and rejected requests. So since we just submitted a request, we'll go to pending, and you can view the full request, look at all the information, the relevant information, to see like what they're going to do with the venue, and then choose to either approve or deny the request.
Let's approve me.
We'll approve. And then you can also look at your history, so that'd be like PHP mailer.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you can look at your history, so if you're ever curious like, oh, is this similar to old events that I've approved, you can go and like browse the details. So yeah.
Wow, awesome guys.
Once again, you get a confirmation email any second that
So
says
this is on the
request to book
student side.
Yeah, so the student is notified that their request has been confirmed.
Yeah.
And then you have all of the emails are set with the reply to address of the administrator. So if there are any questions, you can just respond promptly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite part of this project, and maybe of CS50 as a whole?
I think, well, to answer like your second question, I think my favorite part about CS50 was like working on this final project, just because you can see like everything that you're working on and see how it applies to like the real world in a way. Because I think a lot of CS is like what you want to implement in the real world. So it's really cool to see all of those. Yeah, to see something that you can actually use.
What about you guys? What did you think of CS50?
Wanna go?
I really like CS50. I think that's a very generic response. My favorite part was definitely the final project, because it was like the first time we really got to see what we've learned, like what it can produce. And obviously it's just a simple website, but it's just awesome to think from where we were at the beginning of the semester to where we are now that we were able to build this.
Yeah, well, amazing job on the project, guys. I look forward to actually using this next time I want to go party or something. Of course, you'll be invited, so. Thank you.
I'm Doris, preceptor of computer science on CS50 staff, and I'm here with the group. Why don't you tell me a little bit about, first yourselves, so what are your names, and where do you live on campus?
I'm Lillian. I'm a junior living in Courier studying psychology.
Hi, I'm Ivan. I'm from Courier studying anthropology.
I'm Michelle, and I live in Leverett, and I'm studying human developmental and regenerative biology.
So how did you combine all of this disparate expertise into your CS50 final project? What is the final project you made?
So our final project is a food and cocktail pairing kind of algorithm. And I think our inspiration really came from our love of Felipe's and delicious margaritas they have. And I think we just wanted a way to kind of create that amazing pairing for other people as well.
Felipe's, for those of you that don't know, is a local restaurateur in the square. Very popular, very popular. So why don't you show us a little bit of a demo? See.
Yeah.
Tell us how this
All right.
works.
All right, so this is our home page. And so we're just going to navigate down the page.
Does this work now for our viewers at home? Can they go to your URL?
Yeah,
and
they
check
can.
this out?
The viewers at home can go to letsfoodmood.com.
Letsfoodmood.com. Okay.
So you can tailor by the food and the mood, or you can tailor by the kind of alcohol that you have. You can receive a random suggestion, or you can simply view like our full drink list.
Okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and tailor by food and mood. We're gonna say we're enjoying Mexican,
Felipe's, yeah.
because
All
we
right.
love Felipe's. Celebratory, because CS50 Fair
Because
is
it's-
lit.
It's CS50 Fair, that's right. Have to celebrate.
And we'll keep it simple.
All right.
So there we go. We're gonna have margaritas.
Okay.
Wanna go ahead and start
Oh,
it?
we actually have margaritas, or just orange juice
Yeah.
and ice. Oh, here we go.
And
This is gonna
margarita
be-
mix, yeah.
So, for users that are doing this at home, are you going to go to their apartment or place of abode and actually create the beverage of choice that they select?
We'd love to. I mean, maybe if we like had a startup and expanded this thing. Yeah, we'd love
We'd
to
have
do
to make
that.
sure it doesn't like melt really before it gets there.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Are we
Yeah.
ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, this is great. This is like one of those episodes of Will It Blend? You know, you remember they used to put their phones in the okay. That looks amazing. Well, this is definitely celebratory.
Of course.
Oh boy. Cheers. Delicious. I don't think I've ever had a more celebratory beverage.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Food Mood.
Orange juice and ice. It's legit.
Pretty good.
So tell me a little bit more. I noticed that on the website, it looks like it's playing a song.
Yeah, it is. It's playing our favorite song. It's Hello by Adele, Paul DeMixie remix.
Does it also pair the song with the mood and the...
No, we felt that this song was appropriate for any occasion, so we left that song.
All right.
And then also we have a map of all the nearby liquor stores in case you need to get some key ingredients for your cocktail.
Now here, this is obviously local to us, but for those that are watching from home, will it actually use
Yeah,
their geolocation
Yeah.
and show them the most up-to-date map?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we can search for a recipe.
Oh boy.
Oops.
Built-in Google search. Amazing.
Oh.
So what was the biggest problem you had while making your final project here? Your biggest challenge, your biggest hurdle. No hurdles. It just came together.
It was flawless. We showed up at the hackathon and we finished at maybe 1 a.m. in the morning, and we stayed all the way till IHOP because we wanted the full experience. And we've had very few hurdles. We would have liked to do some more first-hand investigation, but we were limited. And so we resorted to the internet, and I think we have a good database, but it could be even bigger.
So is there any sort of research that goes behind the pairings, or how did you select that?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think it's easy to create, all the pairings, it took a while, a lot of cocktail research. I definitely learned a lot about all kinds of drinks. And for the viewers at home, if you're curious of seeing our kind of database, you can just click that bottom link. It'll show you the whole kind of menu.
So technically speaking, how is this implemented?
How it's implemented? So this is in MySQL, in a PHP MyAdmin kind of viewer that we use.
Okay.
We also, I think one thing that's really fun, so this is our random drink generator. We have a social component, so if you're really excited, can't wait to have a corpse reviver number 2.
Okay, hold on, wait. What is a corpse reviver?
Should we find out? Let's find out. What's a corpse reviver? It sounds lethal.
Is this Google search going to be safe for the live stream?
Yeah, let's make sure we.
Okay.
Okay. This is live, everyone. Okay, great. Imbibe magazine. It looks like we have some gin.
Gin, some Americano. Okay.
All right. Very nice. I'm guessing that would be under the fancy category.
That does seem fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, and they just got some free advertising.
All right. You're welcome. But yeah, we have that social component. So you can share, like, tweet out to your friends. You're like, wow, I can't believe what Food Mood recommended.
Have you seen any of your own friends tweet out some of these drinks yet? Hopefully the people from home will be able to do so for you.
I'll say not yet, but our YouTube video, which kind of tells the story of our journey, type into YouTube Food Mood, the story. That's gotten a lot of love on YouTube and social media. Yeah.
Why? What about it makes it so compelling?
We think it's a real life situation in which you would use Food Mood. It begins with a family having a meal, and they're fighting about which cocktail will fit the mood, and they can't decide.
Wait, a family?
Yeah, a family.
So this is family-friendly website.
It's a friend family.
Okay.
The families come in all shapes and sizes.
Perfect.
You know, when you're on campus and you don't have your family around you, you got your friends,
There you
which
go.
become your family.
This is our CS50 family. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, we had a lot of fun. So this is us having an argument. You know, some of us want margaritas, some of us want pina coladas, some of us are just trying to keep it casual, some people are trying to be fancy. Like, we just can't decide. And so our friend Kate here finds the solution is foodmood.com. And because of the wonderful Adele song that we've implemented, which suits every mood, it brings peace into the room.
All right. All right.
And we decide that it should be a margarita, and everyone's happy.
Fantastic. Well, I hope everyone at home will be able to enjoy both the website and the Food Mood, the story. I want to thank you all very much for coming, and we'll see you around the fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sam. I'm a TF for CS50, and I'm here with.
Hi, I'm Risham.
And I'm Handong.
And they're going to tell us about their project.
All right, so.
Our project is called This Time. Basically what it does is it finds a mutually convenient time for you to meet up with your friend, and it's iCal integrated.
So we're just going to take you through a quick demo to show you how these meetups work. So first of all, let's say we want to make you an account. We're going to call you John Harvard, all right? John Harvard. And let's make your, no, we're fine. Anyway, and let's make your password Crimson. Oh boy, now this password is all over the internet. Okay, so we're gonna sign you up, and we were able to sign you up successfully. If your username was already existing, so if someone else had your username, we would have said, oh, wait a second, you can't sign up there. So here we're gonna go, and we can log you on.
So right now we're just logging you on as John Harvard.
Awesome.
Now let's say you want to hang out with your friend. So you're going to send a request to your friend. Let's say you want to meet them for coffee or froyo. Let's say your friend's username is hpark. And you say, hey, let's meet up anytime today between 8 and 11 p.m. So you're willing to meet them up today anytime between 8 and 11 p.m. All you have to do is send them a request. So we're going to click send here. And we've sent them the request. So now
let's check your calendar real quick, okay? So we're going to go back to your home screen. All right? Okay. Now right now, turns out that you didn't know this, but you forgot about this. You actually we're studying from 7:30 to 8:30 for CS50. But don't worry, our app makes sure that you won't be scheduled for anything during 8 to 9 because of that, right? So now, picture that we're on a different phone, just for a quick second. So we're gonna add an event here for me. So basically the username we entered earlier to send the request to was my username, right? So let's just imagine that, I don't know, I'm really busy too. Maybe I'm playing tennis, right?
So right now what Handong is doing is he's adding an event called tennis onto his calendar, onto the H Park calendar. So this he's busy from 9 to 9:30. So if you remember our request that we sent from 8 to 11, the original user, John Harvard, was already busy studying CS50 for a certain amount of time period. And now Handong is also busy playing tennis for a certain amount of time period. But what Handong's going to do right now is that he's going to log in on his account from this time. And basically, he's going to log in, see if he has any requests from friends to hang out. So he's going to click approve that time to see if he has any requests. And if you see, there's a request from John Harvard. So if he clicks on it, he'll see that there's a request from John Harvard. It says, hey, let's meet up anytime between 8 and 11. So now Handong's going to say, yeah, why not? I love getting froyo or coffee. So he's going to click approve. And it says, okay, cool. So you're both free from 10 to 11. So now if Handong goes back to his calendar, he'll notice that this time automatically scheduled an event for Handong.
Sorry.
It automatically scheduled the time for Handong to meet up for coffee or froyo, called Meetup Scheduled by this time. Now, we also, if John Harvard logs into his account, he'll see that Handong approved his request, and he'll also be able to see that he can add the event to his calendar. So basically what our app does in the end is that it's able to take both iCals of you and your friend and find a mutually convenient time spot between a certain time range to meet.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. So can you tell me a little bit about the development process and what it was like to take on an iOS app?
So, yeah, the first time, the very first thing was that Swift and Xcode is not necessarily open source. So I actually,
not
not anymore. Like, now it's actually open source, but back then, I didn't have a Mac, access to a Mac. So there was no way for me to code, and so we actually spent a whole day just figuring out how in the world I was going to code in Swift without a Mac. And so we actually had to use like a remote desktop viewer so I could use one of our extra computers.
Yeah.
And another thing we had to think about was like, how do we even get like the first page to load? So I can remember the first time we tried to do things, we just tried to load one of the templates for an app, just like a single page, and
It said Hello World.
we could not get Hello World to load for hours.
Like an entire, maybe
Hours.
4 or 5 hours. We were frustrated.
And we were like, we have no clue what's going on. And so, but we've been reading a lot, we've been looking a lot of things up, we've been figuring stuff out, and we've just been working on the fly, some late nighters, you know.
Lots of late nighters.
We've seen the sunrise sometimes, but
Twice.
it has been an amazing adventure. We managed to create an absolutely wonderful app, and we're really proud of what we've done.
And I think in the end, the development process was just learning. We'd never done Xcode or Swift in CS50 before, but it was taking the skills that we had learned in CS50 and applying them to a whole other domain. And realizing that we can Google things, we can read API documentations and find out what's going on.
Do you have any comments on the course as a whole? What did you guys think of it?
Take CS50!
You should take this class. Like, it pushes you, and it'll make you think really hard, but when you finish off and you can present what you've got, and people are like, whoa, this is amazing, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
You think about it, it didn't really feel amazing, but then when I actually realized it, I was like, wait a second. What we did is pretty ridiculous.
It's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
Awesome. Anything else you guys want to say?
Take CS50.
Use our app. It's great.
Yeah.
And I'm here with Alex and Anna. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Are you students here? What house?
So my name is Alex. I'm from Ukraine, and I'm extension student.
Okay.
My name is Anna, and as Alex, we are both in extension school.
So you're taking E50 then?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Well, welcome. So tell me a little bit about your project.
So we have here a project we call Roomba Pi, because it has Roomba and a Pi on top of it.
Oh, the Raspberry Pi? Okay,
so
yeah.
we decided to come up with the name Roomba Pi.
Uh-huh.
It's more fun. And basically it's a remote-controlled Roomba. So you can control it from your iPhone, iPad, or any actually web browser in the world.
So I think you have a screen up on the web browser as well. So what happens then? You can control it remotely from anywhere in the world, or how does that work?
I mean, if you put it this way, it has a web server running on it.
Okay.
So theoretically, you can get the domain name and put it on a web.
Okay.
So you can access from anywhere in the world. So you can drive in every room and see live feed from your camera. So it's like surveillance camera, but you can change the position of it.
Right.
And when you have people coming over and you're at work, and you forgot to set up the schedule for Roomba to clean, you can just press clean button on it, and it will start cleaning.
Okay. So you can control remotely. You can see the camera.
You can see
remotely.
the camera, yes.
So can we get a little bit of a demo here? How does this work? And this is a little precarious. This is normally on the floor, but we've set it up on the table.
Yeah.
And hopefully we won't drive it off the table. But that's why we chose this.
It's actually in a safe mode, so theoretically it shouldn't fall off.
Okay.
Just stop.
You want to test it?
Yeah.
Oh God, I was kidding. Oh God, stop. Making me nervous here. All right, pretty good.
So you can
And
rotate
so
it.
what are you doing on the computer then?
Oh.
That's fine. We'll go back the other way.
So I'm just pressing the buttons, and every button is, we have a event listener assigned for this web page, so every time you press in any button, here's what you're doing. Here's or is it touch, or there is a or there is a press of the button, and it's changing an image of the button, so it looks more interactive, like you're actually doing something, like it turns red every time you press it. So it's actually plays. We programmed it to play a Jingle Bell song, but it's so loud here you can hear. Maybe
Where does it play the Jingle Bell song?
So it's from the top. It's just from
Where's
the
the
Roomba.
speaker? Because what I can try to do is put the mic up against it. We'll see if we can hear it on the. I think we got it. Did we get it?
So
no idea.
That's it.
That's awesome.
That's our project. Yeah.
So what was the motivation? Did you realize that in your apartment you wanted to surveil your cats, or did you realize I need to...
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We do have cat. Yeah. But we had this Roomba laying around, and we have final project for CS50, and this is the way to bring software to life, like physical life. You can actually do something with software that you can physically see, like move and
that's great.
Whatever you want.
So what was one of the biggest challenges that you had developing this final project?
For us, it was the most problematically to make it work on any device, because to make it work from the finger touch or from the mouse click.
Yeah, we should optimize it for touch and for mouse, so it was the same way on desktop and laptop.
So that was harder. That was harder than the actual interface between the Raspberry Pi.
Yes. It took us more time to optimize it for web app for iPhone, so you can scroll it, you can zoom in. You can it's a good commentary on the state of the web to be able to talk a little bit about how it's easier to create this interface between the Roomba and the Raspberry Pi than it is to actually create an interface for it. What we're doing is just send in a sequence of serial commands, like some numbers that Roomba provided us. It's okay, to drive you need to send 135, for example, and then you send different numbers for different wheel, like speed, velocity, whatever you want to do. So that was the easy part. We did it in Python. So it's CGI script running in a web browser.
Okay.
So we open in serial port, write into it, and then closing it, basically.
Great.
But optimizing it, make JavaScript call this function without, because as we find out, iPhone doesn't have 204. Web browser doesn't. Reads 204 code as 200. Okay, so it goes actually to that page. And it was very hard for us to get it. Not when you press the button, don't go to the page.
Right.
Don't change the page, stay on this page. So we spent 2 days just on it. We work full time, so we only work after work. So it's
So did CS50 adequately prepare you for the challenges that you had with?
That's the hardest subject probably. But it's really awesome. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So good, yeah.
Well, Alex and Anna, thank you very much for being on the live stream. We really appreciate it. All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
All right, so can you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, hi, I'm Theo.
I'm Walker.
And I'm James. And this is Syncer, the fastest way to share contact information.
So Syncer is an iPhone application that allows you to input all of your contact information and social media and handles into a QR code that is scannable by other people with the app. So this way, you can connect all of your contacts and social media at the same time.
The inspiration to this project was that when we meet someone, we definitely exchange contact, get their phone numbers, email addresses, their Snapchat and Facebook, but it was all separate processes, and these was very, very difficult. So Syncer simplifies that.
So now we can show you how it works a little bit. So what do you want to do first?
So right now, we can edit data, and right now we inputted John Harvard's data.
You can see it has name, email, phone, his Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all of those platforms.
And then now you press generate, and then you get a Syncer code that's specific to John Harvard, basically to yourself.
Yeah.
And with an app, you can...
Here. How do we can scan it. Just go ahead. So when you scan it...
When you scan the app...
And as you can see on the phone here, you get a result. Just show them.
So you can see that it has different buttons that you can push and add on the different platforms. So you see if you went and added to contacts, now if you go into his contacts, there will be a new contact named John Harvard with the name and the email and phone number input in his contacts how he had in the QR code. You can go to Instagram and you can follow on Instagram. If you go back to Syncer, you can go to Facebook and go to the Facebook profile. So,
awesome. So can you guys tell me a little bit about the development process? Like, what was it like to build this app?
Yeah. So the development process, obviously we're working with Xcode and Swift, which was a new language for two of us. And it was tough. The first stages obviously were more like brainstorming and like thinking about exactly what we wanted our app to be and what problem our app was solving.
So what's really cool is that Apple has foundations so that you can input QR generators and scanners really easily into your applications. So that wasn't as difficult as we thought it would be. But figuring out how we wanted to input the contact information and parse it and concatenate it into a string that could be read, that was a little bit tricky.
So basically, like, since Apple has a lot of the libraries and like frameworks set up for you, this app took maybe like a week to make, I guess. But we definitely see that we can keep on working on this, shift the design, add a couple of new functionalities, and it can definitely be something we post online.
So can you tell me, did you guys run into any problems while you were developing?
So I guess adding the... So at 9 a.m., 3 hours before it was due, our code rolled back about 7 hours on GitHub, which was a problem because we had to recode all of it. And getting the Facebook API to work was sometimes tricky, and getting different social media handles to work was also kind of tricky.
So why did you choose logging with Facebook as opposed to like creating their own user accounts? As opposed to like having users create their own accounts?
I can feel that one. So we've seen some other applications that have done that have like your account registered in a database with all of your information, and then so people can sync with you via that account. But we liked this because of we've seen similar functionality in Snapchat. So like when you're adding a new contact, you can just scan someone's code, and it's really nice because you don't have to remember any information, and it's this exchange and interchange between people. And so we liked that idea that rather than just giving someone your phone number, it was this quick like QR that could someone could scan it. It's kind of cool. Like it looks nice, and then they get everything. So we like that more than a database.
And one thing too that we like is that it's a physical exchange. So obviously you can't do this if you're over somewhere else. So in order to get your information, I actually have to be with you, talking to you, and scan your phone. So as opposed to if you had to use your create account and just like search for a name, then it's not the same kind of product or design.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing Syncer on the App Store. Thanks a lot.
This is Dan, and I'm here with the group. They made a project called Dinner with Friends. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves for the live stream?
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm a junior in FOHO.
I'm Steven. I'm also a junior in FOHO. I'm Io. I'm a junior in Dunster.
So tell me a little bit about your project.
Yeah, so basically our project is we made a website where you can basically plan dinners with your friends. You will have a friends list here where you can invite other users of the website. And there's our friends list. Here we can add friends. And here's our friend requests. And then over here we have our make dinner function, which is basically where you go through, you're going to title your event, you pick your dining hall,
so by make
describe
dinner,
your event.
Make a dinner event, not necessarily like Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Make event. Yeah. And then here's your description of the event. You have your dinner date and time. You can invite your friends to it. And so basically, you know, we just made it because like sometimes it gets annoying texting your friends every single time that you want to get a dinner together, and you know you lose track of things. And so we just thought like, why not make it easier? You know.
So once you make a dinner with your friends, how do your friends see it? What's the rest of the flow here?
Yeah, so if you go to your homepage, at the top of your homepage you see meal invitations. So for example, this is IO's homepage, and we like pre-sent an invitation from Dan. So here on the top you see the meal invitations. You can click on the guest list. So if you want to snoop out who's coming to make sure your friends are coming, you like the people, you can look at the guest list, and then you can either choose to accept or deny, and if it denies it goes away. And if you click accept, it should show up in my meals if it's right there, but only if it's within the next 2 weeks. Otherwise it won't show up until it's within the next 2 weeks. And then at the bottom you can see recent meal history if you want like a log of who you've eaten with recently.
So what happens if someone makes 2 dinners at the same time? So let's say Daniel makes a dinner and invites me. Yeah. Io makes a dinner and invites me. What do I see both? How does it behave?
Yeah, you see both.
Oh man, so it's up to me to have to reject one. Oh man, that's
You could be a sneaky boy and accept both of them.
Yeah.
Then what kind of friend are you?
So tell me a little bit about the technical backing of this. So it's a website, but what is it implemented in?
Okay, it's run almost entirely in PHP. So all these forms you see are PHP forms. The only thing that we used JavaScript for was this guest list that Dan implemented. So we wanted to use JavaScript for that part because we didn't want the guest list to like render a new page, and we didn't want to render it within the table because it would take too much space up. But otherwise, we thought that using PHP and SQL for our like MVC format was the best way to go because we needed friends databases and we needed events databases. And then we needed a different one to keep track of who has accepted which requests and things like that. So we thought that was the best format for this kind of project.
Was there anything while implementing this project that you thought would be hard but ended up being easy?
I think the thing that was like that we thought was going to be really hard was the sequel for our friends, and like being able to see who's friends with who and keep track of all that, and then also, you know, on the same page, like attending events, being able to see who's going to attend the event and being able to keep track of that and display it in, you know, in your friends list or in these friends who've accepted the dinner. But actually it turned out to like not be that difficult. We just had to make several different SQL databases and use like a friends one basically with a binary 1-0 to show that these people are friends together. So we thought that was going to be really difficult, but it turned out like it was not that hard to implement, and I mean we've been able to keep track of our stuff so far.
So what ended up being one of the more difficult things about implementing this project?
Let's see. I would say one big difficulty we had was when we were trying to do this whole JavaScript thing. Actually, like the design behind getting our JavaScript inside our PHP was having us a lot of trouble, just because I think between accessing the SQL and then trying to pass that into the to the PHP and then pass that into the JavaScript, it was just a lot of different pieces to keep track of when we were making that.
And how was the overall CS50 experience? Maybe Io can help respond with this one here.
I mean, I enjoyed the class a lot. It was challenging at some points, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, but it's good to be done.
A lot of lows.
Late nights doing P sets, but it's good to be done, and I learned a lot. And it's kind of like I didn't come in with a lot of background in CS, but I feel like I left learning a lot about how to think, how to problem solve, and how to deconstruct problems and produce an output that works. So I guess I'll pass it to them.
Well, thank you all three for showing us your project, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the fair.
Welcome back. I'm here with
Natasha Thomenker. I'm in the class of 2019.
Awesome. So can you tell us about your project?
Yeah, my project is called the Window Guard. Essentially, it solves the problem that my roommates and I have all the time. We crack open the window to release some heat, but then we wake up to an absolutely freezing room. So the Window Guard gives you a notification every hour that your window is open to remind you that your window's open and you probably should close it.
Awesome. So How does it work?
So it works using an Arduino board, which is an electronic open source prototyping platform, and a Hall effect sensor, which detects a magnetic presence. So if you attach a magnet to your window, the Hall effect sensor can detect whether your window is closed or open. And that way it can issue a notification if your window's been open for longer than an hour.
Cool. How did you decide to take on an Arduino project?
Yeah, I've never worked with anything hardware before ever. So I thought this would be a really cool opportunity for me to play with something more physical and tangible and understand how hardware interacts with the CS we've been learning about in class.
Awesome. So what was the development process like?
Tricky because I had no idea what I was doing with regards to hardware. So I did a lot of online research with people who have done similar projects using the Arduino board and essentially played around with, just kept playing around until I found something that would work.
Cool. So what did you use to send notifications? Is it email? Is it text message? How does it work?
So right now, the notification system's like an audio alarm. So straight from the computer. One thing that I'm working on, even though I already submitted my project, is to try and get it to send you an email, which would involve an internet connection, which I think would also be more useful.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you planning to use this project in your daily life?
I think so. I think it'd be fun to at least put it up for a week, just so my roommates and I don't freeze for a week longer.
Awesome. Is there anything else you want to tell us?
No, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks a lot.
Hi, this is Dan again, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Kara Lua.
Noah Moros. Ethan Zoe. Awesome. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your project?
So our project is called Rover, Remote Observation Virtual Reality Robot. And so what this does is it's a telepresence robot that can be driven around from anywhere in the world. And the video is wirelessly streamed to a Google Cardboard VR device so you can look around your environment and explore anywhere in the world.
And in fact, I am the telepresence robot from afar. I was watching them from the screen. So this is the screen that you were telling me about just a second ago. And this is what goes into the Google Cardboard. So how does that, can you put it in there and see? How does this work exactly?
Absolutely.
So they're putting it into the cardboard. And you wear it like goggles, apparently. So, so describe what he is seeing. What Ethan
So
is
we've,
seeing
we've implemented stereo view on this phone screen. So it's split into two halves, so that display exactly the same thing, so that you can use both of your eyes in the Google Cardboard to form one image and make you feel like to make you have an immersive experience in the cardboard.
How immersive did it end up being? Is it pretty immersive?
It's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can I try I didn't get to try the full, shebang. Oh, I see oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Hi, production. How's it going? Uh-oh, it turned off. Oh God, it's ringing or something. Okay. Oh, that battery died. A slight interesting thing. But I think I saw in your setup elsewhere that you also have another means of control as well, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
So we also have a gamepad controller which connects to the phone, and that controller will send the inputs to the phone, which will be wirelessly sent to the Raspberry Pi, and that will control the robot's movement. So in essence, it can become a fully telepresence robot, which you can move around remotely.
Wow, that's great. So tell me, how is the overall structure? How does this actually work? So technically speaking, what is the flow of information and the data?
All right, so first of all, we have the Android device right here that goes into Google Cardboard, and that is taking both input from sensor data for head tracking, as well as the gamepad that's connected to it via USB.
So is that like a custom app that you wrote?
Yes, we wrote a custom app using the Google Cardboard API that Google provides. And so that is then talking to a Raspberry Pi computer on the robot itself via Wi-Fi. And then from there, the Raspberry Pi reads
So sorry, one more question. So the Raspberry Pi is running a server of some kind that the Google Cardboard app is communicating with on the same network?
Yep, so they're on the same network. They're talking via HTTP sockets. And so the Raspberry Pi is getting that data. It's sending commands over USB to both the robot drive platform to drive around with the gamepad, and also to an Arduino chip, which controls the servo motors on the webcam. And so that responds to head tracking data and moves the webcam around. And at the same time, the Raspberry Pi is running another script that acts as a live video server that the computer, the phone can read to display the video back to the user.
Wow, that's awesome. So is there, this is already very impressive, but is there a speaker on here so that me as a telepresence person can also communicate back to the people around my telepresence virtual self?
Yeah, reach goal, not yet.
Future goal, all right, for future work, excellent. And so it looks like you also have a screen here. So this is also somehow connected to the
So
Raspberry
any
Pi?
computer on the network can just go here to see the stream. So just to show it off, so anybody can see it, we've connected to that just to show it for demo purposes.
Is it possible to see on the computer screen what the Google Cardboard sees, or is that not really possible to look at?
There could be a way we can implement that, but not right now. Not with what we have set up right now.
Because it's pretty interesting to see the two separate stereoscopic images. But how does that work? Because this looks like it's one camera, so it's a fake stereoscopic image. Is it just the same?
Two images, yeah, duplicated.
Okay. So future work would be adding a second one with some
3D
offset.
effects.
Oh,
Very
wow.
cool. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, what was one of the things that you thought would be difficult but ended up being easy about this project?
I think we thought that the wireless video streaming would be quite difficult. We found a Linux application that exists already called Motion, and so we were able to use that, and it implemented everything for us. So the video streaming itself was a lot easier than getting the controls to work, actually.
And what about, I mean, it all seems like it's a lot of complex things that are interoperating in order to get this to work. So what was one of the opposite things? Something that would be easy, but ended up being very hard about this project?
We thought writing the Android app with the Google Cardboard and Gamepad would be pretty easy because we have a lot of Android experience among our team members, but we ended up finding out that on all the different phones we were testing, each phone supported different features. So some had a gyroscope for head tracking, but didn't have good gamepad support, whereas some had the gamepad support, but not the good head tracking. So we ultimately ended up using this phone, which could do both. This one's like too big for the Google Cardboard, so we ultimately had to compromise on something.
That's excellent. So how was the overall CS50 experience for you guys?
It was awesome. So we're high school students, so we weren't able to see a lot of lectures in person. But we were watching them on video, and we still felt like we had a really awesome experience. And we managed to come down and skip school for the last lecture, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm so glad that you could make it.
Thank you.
Welcome, and have a great time at the fair. Thank you very much.
All right, so I'm back with
Richa.
David. And they're going to tell us about their project.
So basically, Movie is a crowdsourced website that tells you the best time to go to the bathroom during a movie so that you miss the least amount of action.
So we basically have a submit form for users to enter data about different movies and the best time to take a bathroom break during them. And then we also have a display page where users can view the information submitted by others about various different movies in theaters right now.
Awesome. So can we see a demo?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you go to add to our database, oh God, because it won't let us click it because of the thing. It won't let us click it.
There we go. Go ahead.
Go to add to our database. Basically, you can enter in the movie name here, a time to leave, and then a brief summary. So if, for example, I know The Good Dinosaur is in theater, I can click on that. I can say 22 minutes, and for example, I can say the dinosaur eats a leaf. Then, if I go back to movies, and I hit on The Good Dinosaur, you can see all the information already submitted as well as the dinosaur eats a leaf.
So the idea is like you record when during a movie you should leave, the part where it gets bad.
Yeah, so basically it's up to the users, and that's why it's crowdsourced, because different people have different tastes. So some people can be like, oh, it's a romance scene, you can leave because I don't care about that. Or, oh, it's a really long battle scene, you can leave during that. I think a good example of that is under the Hunger Games. So like here, like at 32 minutes, Katniss pines over Peeta, but at 60 minutes, it's a very long battle scene. So you can kind of pick what time like you would want to leave, which is why it's crowdsourced. Because if just one person was saying the information, I don't think it would be as powerful to the users.
Cool. So, what are some things you might add to this project?
We'd actually like to add something about like displaying the data presented by the users in various different formats. So maybe using a histogram or some sort of graphical way of displaying, the range of times presented.
Yeah. We'd also like in the future kind of work on making this an app, because I feel like while as a website it's really user friendly, on a phone, since you're in the movies, you won't have like a laptop out. It might be more like useful as an app. So we would want to work on that too.
Cool. So what were some of the technical challenges you guys faced while building this project?
You want to take that one?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges was just finding a way to basically take the data submitted by users and display it on the page. And it basically just involved using like a couple different programming languages, but we just had to find a way conceptually to sort of move information around from various like files and programs that we had.
Using the Movie DB API was also a bit of a challenge. I think it just took us a while to get comfortable using JavaScript in order to display that language on a web page, but once we got it, I think things ran like a lot more smoothly.
Yeah, so the movie API is actually where we're getting the movie titles from. So these are movies that are like currently in theaters. So basically we're making like a call to the TMDB API and searching for movies that are currently showing.
And are users allowed to enter movies that aren't currently in theaters, or is this like a theaters only kind of deal?
Well, theoretically, I mean, like you could enter like information about any movie, whether it's showing or not. But right now, the way we have it set up, it's only going to display information about movies that are currently in theaters.
Awesome.
The thing about it is that you wouldn't need to like know when to go to the bathroom if you were watching a movie at home because you would pause it. This is mostly like just an issue for like when you're in a theater and you're kind of like stuck and you don't know exactly when you can go. Yeah, that's where the idea comes from.
Cool. So what's the website written in? Mostly JavaScript, PHP? What's the stack look like?
So we definitely have a lot of PHP. I would say that the only real JavaScript we have is in getting the information from the API and also getting basically like displaying the titles and the information. But I would say that most of it is written in PHP.
Awesome.
A lot of SQL queries like in PHP, so.
Cool. You guys have any advice for future CS50 students? Or how did you like the class?
I really liked it. It was certainly a lot of work, but it was also very rewarding in that sort of each week you get to build something new, and sort of at the end of the year you're building something that you were really invested and interested in, and you're able to see the results of that work.
Yeah, I would probably echo that. Like, don't do a final project you don't really care about because you're going to spend a lot of time on it. So, like, while people were like, "Oh, movie, that's weird," we thought it was funny and we kind of just went with it, and then we kind of had fun doing our project. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it looks great.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Hello, I'm Dan. Welcome back, and I'm joined with Emily and Nick. Introduce yourselves, please. Where are you from? What school or what house are you in, etc.?
Well, hi, I'm Emily. I'm a freshman in Matthews. I'm originally from St. Louis.
I'm Nick. I'm a freshman in Grays, and I'm from Washingtonville, New York.
Awesome. Well, welcome, you guys. Tell me a little bit about your final project. It looks like we have quite a setup here.
Yeah, so our final project is kind of two-part. So the first part is it converts live audio input. Here it's plugged into Nick's guitar, so it'll take input from Nick's guitar, and it converts it to a MIDI file, which it then directly sends to our website, Salieri. And Salieri we kind of intended as a music file database. So is this in the screen? So it's got anyone can upload a MIDI file or sheet music for a song or a piece, and as long as when you upload it you match the title correctly, it'll put them all in the same entry, and then anyone who accesses the website can download the MIDI file or the PDF to use.
So tell me a little bit about the setup. So there's a guitar here, but there's also a little mystery box. What does this box do?
So the mystery box is it's an audio interface, so that's used a lot like when you're recording to send any kind of analog input to digital. So what's happening is the guitar is going through that. It's converting it into digital, which then I can use in the program to convert the audio to MIDI, and it.
So this is a MIDI
No,
not a controller, but a MIDI.
This is not MIDI. This is just an analog to digital converter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then the speaker's plugged back out of that.
And so you said that you have some software then on the computer that's accepting the digital signal from this.
Yeah.
And converting it to MIDI then.
Yeah. So what's happening is I'm recording like 10 seconds of audio, and then what do I do after that? Oh yeah, and then and then it converts it to MIDI, like after you decide if you want to save it or whatnot.
Okay.
And then it automatically sends it to this website where you could download it back to your computer or turn it from another computer.
And so then you're essentially sharing music then that you create online on a website.
But it's like a MIDI file, so it's not actual sound. You're just like telling the computer what notes to play.
Right. And then the computer synthesizes the notes that are contained within the MIDI file.
Yeah.
So can we get a little demo of this? Let's see
Yeah.
how this works.
Let's see if they clear this.
problem. So we have some speakers here, and what I'll do is I'll put my microphone near the speakers, so those following along at home will be able to hear what's happening.
Okay,
So just let me know when you're ready to go. I'm ready. Let's do this. Awesome. Oh, need the mic here for you.
So now we've recorded the sound, and the program has already generated a lot of the data that it needs to convert it to MIDI. So now we're going to say yes, we want to save it. We could call this test 5. My name's Nick, so.
That's the author name,
And then, so now we've sent it to this website. So if we reload, we'll see two new ones have popped at the bottom.
Oh, look at that. There it is. Okay.
So now if we play test 5, it'll play back. Oh, whoops. So this is going to be a lot quieter. It's going to be a piano sound, but it's going to come out of here.
I think I can hear it.
Yeah, well, we could try it again with the volume louder, perhaps.
Yeah, okay, I'll turn up the volume. Oh, it's maxed out. It's loud in here,
Okay.
so there's a lot of other stuff going on.
That's about it.
It's playing. It did play, so we can see it. So tell me a little bit, what's the etymology of the word Salieri? Where does that come from?
It's a little bit random. It's I don't know if anyone's seen the Mozart movie. It came out a while ago, but Mozart has a composer friend named Salieri, who's not a very good composer, but at various parts in the movie, he transcribes music for Mozart, and we thought because this has to do with sheet music, and we're recording very silly kind of basic MIDI files, we thought it would be funny if we named it after him.
It seems applicable. It seems applicable.
Yeah.
So what was the challenge that you had with this final project, creating this final project?
Yeah, originally we wanted to have the website itself also convert MIDI files to sheet music directly on the website. So I guess the challenge would be that we spent a lot of time trying to make that work, and in the end it didn't come through, but I think we learned a lot, but that was kind of a time hurdle.
It looked like in a demo you showed me before that there was some sheet music on there. So what is that? How does that come into play here with the usage of the project? Was that something that someone uploaded, or was that automatically generated, or how did that get up?
Yeah, we actually used a program named MuseScore that does that transcribes MIDI files into sheet music. And originally we tried to implement the command line version of MuseScore, but it just wasn't working with the IDE, so we gave up on it. But yeah, we uploaded the PDF just to show the sheet music and show how you can just access it via the web page. Yeah.
Great. So you said you're both freshmen, right? So if you were a high school student, why should you take CS50?
CS50, it's pretty tough, but I definitely have learned a lot about computers. I don't know if I could do this beforehand, certainly not. So I think it definitely is helpful.
Awesome, excellent. Have anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. CS50 is a lot of work, but I think it's great. Just the number of languages you learn and the amount of material you learn is really useful. And I think nowadays, the earlier you get started learning computer languages and how computers work, the better. So it'll be worth all the time and energy.
So why, as freshmen, did you decide to take CS50 this year, as opposed to later?
I mean, there's a lot of hype around the course. I heard a lot of good things about it, and I took APCS senior year, so I wanted to kind of continue the computer science while it was fresh.
I took this, I plan on studying electrical engineering, and it's the only course I could fit into my schedule, so I took it. Turned out okay.
All right, well, Emily and Nick, thank you very much for being on the live stream. I really appreciate it.
Great, so I'm here with Ariana, who's going to tell us about her project.
Hi, I'm Ariana. So this is my project. It's called Code and Choreography. I'm just going to go ahead and play it right away. It uses this Leap motion device. Sam, do you want to do the honors?
Oh, sure. So what am I supposed to do?
Hand over. Yeah, you'll see the sprite, just this image up here. And then just remove your hand. You can see the fade in and fade out. And then try moving it along the x-axis. Move the sprite left and right. And then to access different choreographic movement sequences, raise your hand up along the y-axis. Yeah.
Oh.
Keep going, actually. There's more above. Nice. And then you could go all the way back down. In dance, we call that retrograding, when you move in reverse. And you can also pinch the sprite, move her into the distance. Exactly. And
This
if
is
you
super cool.
If you get tired of me, you can just move me off the screen entirely. Yeah.
Awesome. So how does this project work? Can you give us a description of the technology behind it?
Sure. So I actually, do you want to see some of the code?
No, don't worry about the code.
Okay. So I use Python to program this. There's a special library called Piglet, which allows you to create this sort of windowing effect and some of the multimedia things. And then I took a slow motion video of myself dancing. These are the images extracted from that video. There's 156 different frames. Those are all extracted in Photoshop and imported into my program. So yeah, the Leap has an API and there are different things that you can use, different gestures and motions that you can map other things onto. So I decided to map it onto choreography.
Awesome. How did you come up with this idea?
I think a recurring theme for me this semester is an interest in the intersection between the physical and digital world, and how choreography can be a way to explore that intersection, I think, in a creative and fun way. So I wanted to make programming fun and relevant for me, so I decided to link it to something I also love, which is making movement.
Awesome. So how did you like the course as a whole?
The course kicked my ass completely. It was great though. Yeah, it was great. It was intense. It was definitely, I think, as a grad student, it's a little bit different than it seems to be for the undergrads. I think I think I'm just still spinning from the course. I've never been so challenged. I've never pushed myself so hard or been so pushed. And I'm actually shocked that I made this. I can't believe it. I had absolutely zero programming experience, so.
Do you have any advice for people who try to do Leap motion projects in the future?
Well, I think one of the most challenging things with Leap is getting the Leap set up. So the developer toolkit is a little challenging. So once you get over that hump, then you can go ahead and play. No, I think it's fun.
Awesome.
Do it.
Thanks a lot, Ariel.
Thank you.
Hey, this is Dan again, and I'm here with Nagam and Tina. So first introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, so my name's Nagam Fawaz. I am a sophomore in Quincy House. I'm originally from Dearborn, Michigan.
Hey, I'm Tina. I'm a senior in Elliott House. I'm studying applied math economics.
Awesome. Well, tell me a little bit about your project. What do we have here?
So we decided to make an app that will help college students find events that will get them off campus.
An iOS app even.
Yes.
Right?
iOS
Yeah,
app,
okay.
Yes. So this, we made it specifically for the 5S just because that's the phone I have right now. But yeah, so should we?
Yeah, let's see so tell us a little bit about it while you walk us through.
Okay, so pretty much the app starts off, you can create an account, which we have already done.
Okay.
And you just log in with your email password.
Very secure password, I see.
Yes, very secure password.
So then you can, so right now it's manually populated with events, but we're hoping to eventually get it to scrape websites so that it'll populate itself. But you can see different events that we input right now.
What sort of events are they? It looks like mostly concerts?
These are mostly concerts just because that's what we're interested in. Her favorite artist is at the very top. Yeah, so you can scroll to see different events.
Okay.
You can click see more to see more details about the event. We're eventually going to add a feature that lets you go to the website where you can buy tickets by clicking on the link right here. And yeah, it tells you the artist, the description, the event, date, and stuff like that.
And it looked like you were even able to get it on your phone as well, right? So it looked like, for the purposes of demoing, we're showing it on the computer, but it does actually also work on the phone.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
That's basically what we've got so far.
So tell me a little bit about the technical aspect of this. So how is it? How did you develop it? In what language? And what is the sort of the backing of this?
So basically, because it is an iOS app, iOS uses Xcode, which is the program we have to use, and in the language of Swift. So Swift is a completely new language. We'd never really were exposed to it or experienced it before, so it was all brand new. We had to relearn this. And it was fun. It was good because we got to learn something new and be able to use something. Because now we could say we're pretty good at making iPhone apps. You could say that.
How is using Swift compared to C?
Swift had a lot of. It was a lot easier because it had lots of stuff built into it, and there were lots of functions that were already written in, specifically with the purpose of helping you make an app. So you didn't have to. With C, you had to start with kind of the bare bones and create things yourself. Xcode itself also had the storyboard, which made visualizing the app a lot easier. So that was very useful for us.
So I remember during the hackathon, there was a little technical mishap, perhaps. So what happened there?
So we were trying to so we had 2 different Macs, and we wanted to be more efficient, so we thought we would write our code on 2 different Macs and then combine them. But when we tried to combine them, there was a bridging file for a Objective-C code, and for some reason, it didn't translate to her computer, and so we had to allow her Xcode to access that bridging file. And this took us about an hour to figure out because we just had no idea why.
So there's some adaptation that had to happen.
Yes.
Was that the technical hurdle for this project, or was there something that you found even more difficult than that?
So I feel like initially that was the biggest hurdle to get over, but then after once we were able to merge the 2 together, we started having smaller issues where getting buttons to go back where they needed to go, having everything scrolling correctly took a while to figure out. So I mean, there were small things that probably took us some time to work on, but besides that, I'd say putting the 2 together was probably the biggest technical hurdle.
So what motivated an iOS app in this case rather than, say, like a web page that allows you to work on, to do a similar thing but on also an iPhone?
I feel like we were just being overachievers at this point, and we both have iPhones. We were like, oh, if we both have iPhones, we'd want the app on our phone first of all. So we were like, why not make an iPhone app? And we started it.
Also, I feel like I'm more likely to look for events on my iPhone. If I'm bored, I'm more likely to scroll around on my phone than to go on the website.
Makes sense. So what did you think about CS50 overall?
I thought it was a great experience. I sort of thought it was a cult before I took the class, and I was surprised by how much I could actually do afterwards. I'm surprised that we were able to make this and make it work. So I feel like I learned a lot, and I feel more equipped to learn new languages and create things with them.
Yeah, I actually took this class with absolutely zero computer science background. So I was like, okay, I've heard you can go in with nothing and you'll come out with something. And it's hard and everything, so I don't want anyone to think it is some easy class. You're gonna work really hard in it, but the skills you're gonna come out with are so beneficial, and you can use them anywhere, and it's great to have these skills behind you, and you can go into a job and you're gonna be like, oh, so I have some computer science background. It's just cool to have and to be able to talk about.
So if you were in high school, why should you take CS50?
I feel like in high school, a lot of what you're learning is, you can't really see where it applies to anything. A lot of what you're learning is because it's in the school curriculum, whereas with CS50, everyone uses their phone, everyone uses computers. You're really creating something that interests you, and I feel like that's really cool as a high schooler to apply what you're learning in the class to something that really interests you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. It's a really cool, I would never think I'd want it, but I feel like high school kids also want to branch out and not take the typical curriculum that is offered in high school education. So this would be something really cool for anyone, whether you're interested in computer science or not. As you can tell, you have a applied math and a philosophy concentrator here, and we did it, and it's we do not regret it at all.
Awesome. Well, that's great, Tina and Nagam. Thank you so much for being with us today, and great job on the project.
All right, so I'm back with another awesome project to show you guys. This is...
I'm Jacko Bingmarnu, a freshman in Wigglesworth.
And can you tell us a little bit about your project, Jack?
My project is an ASCII art image converter. So you put in the URL for an image, and it converts it to the same image, but presented using keyboard characters like letters, numbers, and punctuation.
Awesome. So how did you come up with this project idea?
I just really like ASCII art, and I thought it would be cool to implement it using a website. So,
sweet. So can you give us a short demo?
Sure. First, I need an image to convert. So, who's your favorite celebrity?
I think I'm gonna have to definitely go with David Malin.
I can relate. He's one of my favorites too. So let's go find him. Oh, there we go. I already had it on my computer somehow.
That's perfect.
Let's convert. Plug in the URL. And there you go. David J. Malin.
In ASCII art. That's awesome. So how does the website know how to convert these photos into ASCII art?
Basically, it goes through pixel by pixel, or depending on what scale you put in, it checks every 5th pixel, every 4th pixel, and then it finds its darkness using its RGB value, and so therefore it finds its saturation, and then it maps it to an array of characters I've set up from darkest to lightest, darkest being the hashtag, and lightest being the period, and it prints them all out. So,
That's
yeah.
awesome. And did you come up with that algorithm by yourself?
I came out with like the basic part of it by myself, but I had to find some parts of it, like how to take out the RGB values and stuff. And I also looked for a list of some characters that would be best to have for darkest to lightest.
Awesome, awesome. Cool. So, what were some of the challenges you faced while you were developing this project?
At one point, I really wanted to have an upload function, but I wasn't able to figure it out in time. I was able to like implement the upload part and get files, but I wasn't able to convert it the same way the URL works. So.
Awesome. So how does the URL version, how does that work? Is it goes to a website and pulls the image and then?
Yeah. I found some PHP functions that were able to take image files from URLs and also check if the URL is valid.
Cool. So if there was anything you wanted to add, what would you do next?
Maybe finally getting that upload part and making the website look nicer in itself, so it's less white space and looks cooler.
Cool. So how did you like the course in general?
How does it affect the course?
How did you love the course? How did you like the course in general?
I think CS50 was a great experience. I definitely learned a lot. I mean, there were some points where it's kind of stressful, but overall I came out learning a couple new programming languages, so that's good.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jack.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Hello world, my name is Neil, I'm a TF for CS50, and I'm here with a couple of students who want to show off their final project. Do you want to introduce yourselves and say a bit about your project?
Hi, I'm Menaka.
Gopal.
And for our final project, we wanted to address the problem of office hours. And not problem.
I mean, there's a bit of a problem with office hours.
Well, office hours are always really helpful for people for finishing their piece sets, but we thought there would be a way to just make it a little bit more efficient.
Yeah.
Instead of having to wait there with your hand in the air for TF to get to you, we wanted to make it possible for you to document your question and then be able to continue to work on your code while you waited for a TF to get to you.
Yeah, that's a good thing, because some kids actually would pay people to have their hand raised for them the entire night just so they could get help.
Yeah.
It's a bad system, so I'm glad you guys are.
At least everyone's arms got a lot stronger fall semester.
I'm sure they did, but technology should, we're a civilized society. So you want to give a little demo of your project?
Yeah, sure. So what we're looking at right now is the TF interface.
All right.
So you can see we based this off of the P-Set7 CS50 Finance. But we're going to go ahead and log in as a student.
All right.
So, can you actually hold it? All right, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. All right. So log in as a student.
All right.
This is going to work.
I hope so. You made the app.
Yeah. All right, there we go. So this is student interface. We haven't asked any questions yet. We're going to go ahead and ask a question.
Sure.
So let's say we're in Annenberg.
All right.
Question, and then you would not believe how much trouble we had making this map.
You made a map of all the tables?
Of the tables.
That's
yeah,
cool.
we copied it from the schematic.
Nice.
Look at that.
Dude,
look at that.
nice.
You can click on it.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
so smooth.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
Menaka was definitely did that all by herself. Yeah. So then here's the
dude.
interesting thing. Go ahead and
Nice.
return to the home page. And then if we return to the TF screen, there we go. question appears with Ajax.
Auto refresh.
Auto
Well,
refresh.
not really. Like, you just fetch it dynamically, right?
Yeah, fetch it
Nice.
dynamically. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. So then TF can say, "I'll answer the next available question." Student screen will update automatically with
Oh,
the TF
nice. You
name.
have a sign. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
okay.
then you see the number you are in the queue.
All right.
Say the TF comes over and helps the student. You can delete your question. Ask another, this time from Widener. And
Oh, they have table numbers in Widener too. Okay.
well, actually, so interesting that you mentioned that. They don't have table numbers in Widener. We figured that if we just create a schema, then TFs could use that.
They'll get used to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Or we could even you could even go in and put table numbers down. On the day of.
Very cool.
Oh,
Very cool.
that's my bad. Yeah.
Oh,
I was messing with the back end.
All right, fair enough.
But it still works. Yeah.
Still cool. Very
yeah,
cool.
it still works. So
Awesome.
then you can edit your question here.
Nice.
And then the TF should see an edited question.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Awesome. Yeah. So what were a couple highlights of CS50 for you guys? Besides knowing me, of course.
I would say a highlight was just thinking back to the first lecture about how we were learning about binary, and I just didn't even know what binary was. And looking back over through the course syllabus on the last week, it was just, at the time it seemed very difficult, but after the fact, I really have learned a lot.
You've come so far, right? You can now make apps like this that might hopefully we can actually use, right?
Yeah, I think
Really awesome.
seeing a final product and knowing that you contributed to making it is one of the most satisfying feelings.
That's really exciting. Yeah. So you mentioned use Ajax in your final project, right? What other technologies did you use? Technical challenges and knowledge you have?
Technical challenges.
Yeah.
I guess Ajax was the main one for me.
Bootstrap?
Bootstrap,
All right.
Yeah, so just to make the design look pretty and make it compatible with lots of different screen sizes and stuff like that.
There you go.
Yeah, learning about Bootstrap was actually really cool. I really like the CSS aspect of it. So
nice.
I think the back end is what makes it run, but the
Yeah,
CSS
probably.
is what makes users enjoy it.
Makes it pretty, right? That's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Awesome, guys. Any last words?
No, no last words.
Don't worry about being worried about taking CS50 if you haven't taken CS before.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Well said. Thank you very much. And it's funny. At the beginning of the semester, you were like, "I'm scared." Now you're like, "It's chill." That's great. That's great. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Great work. Enjoy the fair. It's been awesome.
Hi there, my name is Zamila. I'm here with James at the CS50 Fair. We're in hour 4, wave 4. So James just got here and just set up his project, and immediately I was attracted to the virtual reality equalizer sort of system that that I saw. Can you tell us a little bit more about the basic premise of your project?
Yeah, so for my project, I decided to make a virtual reality music visualizer. So what it's doing is it's playing an MP3 file, and it can do this with any song we put in. And what it's doing is it's analyzing the music as it plays to get like volumes of different frequencies, and it's using that data to create these 3D visualizations and patterns that like respond to the music to create like a cool viewing effect that'll go along with the music that you listen to.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to put these glasses on, then what will I see like in response to the music?
Yeah, so it'll be like a 3D environment all around you with different patterns that will respond to certain musical notes in the audio, and so it'll like create a cool 3D effect. And you can look all around, like left and right, up and down, and it'll surround you using the Google Cardboard virtual reality goggles. Yeah.
Very cool. So what inspired you to use this? Were you interested in virtual reality before?
Yeah,
or?
I have not done a virtual reality project before, and I wanted to do something really cool, and I'm also a big fan of music.
Yeah.
And you know, the iTunes visualizer thing, I always thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, why not like try to do both of them with the virtual reality goggles? So it was a really fun project to work on. I was working on this on the plane when I came home for Thanksgiving. People on the plane were giving me like weird looks because like I had like these flashing lights on my screen, but it was a lot of fun.
Cool. So what language did you use to make this?
I used C# with the Unity 5 3D engine.
Okay, very cool. Was that something that you taught yourself?
Yeah, I'd learned that before.
Okay, very cool. So I see this little settings cog right there. What
Yeah.
can you change?
So that is for Google Cardboard. If you, for example, the different Google Cardboard goggles are slightly different. Like there'll be different lenses or different like distance between the screen and the eyes. So if you tap there, you can change which goggles you're using for it.
Okay.
So for example, one of my friends, he got one of the New York Times Google Cardboard goggles.
Yeah.
And so to use it with that, you have to like scan the QR code on there, and it would switch the layout. So that would work with the other one.
Very,
Yeah.
very cool. So are you going to be continuing with CS, or is this sort of it? Are you continuing?
I'm definitely planning on continuing with CS. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm a
awesome.
big fan.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask, we have like so many different students with different backgrounds who take CS50, some who, like less comfortable. Have you done any CS before coming here?
I've been doing a good amount before coming here. Yeah. It's a great subject.
So if you were back in high school, like why would you take CS50 if you were a high school student?
I mean, CS50 is just such a great way to get an introduction to so many different programming languages and all that. I was definitely really surprised how much we learned, and just really learning instead of AP Computer Science is more just this is how you use Java, but CS50 is a lot more this is how you program in general, which I thought was really great way to teach it. Yeah.
No, very cool.
Also, the free stuff was awesome.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah, the swag bags this year are pretty great. All right, well, I want to let you back so that other people can check out your project, but let's sign off by just saying your name, and this is CS50.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah. My name is James Lennon, and this is CS50.
Hello again, my name is Neil. I'm a TF for CS50. I'm here with Jenny and Juan, who have some really, really cool project to show you. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell a bit about your project?
Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm currently a freshman taking CS50, and I live in Strauss.
I'm Juan, a freshman, also in Strauss.
And our project was called Harvard Stalker. Basically what we did was we performed natural language processing on incoming geotagged Twitter streams from the area in order to determine if a celebrity was on campus. And then we would send out a text to all of our subscribers.
Very cool. So, this sounds pretty cool. Why don't we do a little demo real fast?
Sure. So, Neil.
Yes.
I'm going to move your computer.
Okay. All right.
And so here we have a subscribe link. So you have to put in your phone number and your carrier.
Oh man, let's go on the internet. Oh well. I'll be famous at least. All right.
Cool. And so the celebrity that we will be stalking today is Neil, and we'll just pretend that Neil is the celebrity, and a lot of people are going to tweet about him.
What's up? You don't need to pretend that I'm a celebrity, all right? All right.
I'm in the database.
But okay.
Okay, and so you can
cool.
put in your name in the database because we already have an existing celebrity database, but Neil is not in it yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Should be.
Awesome. So, Juan's gonna start collecting data.
All right.
And I'm gonna start tweeting about Neil.
All right.
All right. Ready to go, Jenny? Go.
Neil is on Harvard campus, indeed. Nice Twitter feed you have now. Oh my god. Wow. So you basically, does it have to have Neil and Harvard in it, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tweets can be geotagged
Okay.
in 3 ways. You wanna explain it?
Yeah, so what we actually do is we parse tweets in order to determine whether or not they pertain to Cambridge. So for example, if you see words like Annenberg, Widener, et cetera, then we include those tweets in our stream, and then we conclude that it may relate to Harvard. And then we extract the proper nouns within those tweets, and then if we reach a certain frequency of occurrences, for example 3, we compare it against our database of celebrities, in which you, of course, are stored.
In which I'm stored, indeed.
And then if we have a hit, we send out a text message.
Cool. Yeah, so you want to say a little bit about the technologies that you use in this project?
Yeah, so we use a whole variety of things from SQL to manage our celebrity database, PHP, HTML, and CSS for our website, Python to do all of the natural language processing, and we also did some JavaScript and Bash, and it was all on using the Twitter API.
Very, very cool. It's a very complicated API. I've used it. It's great that you guys did it.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so any highlights of CS50 overall? Any big takeaway messages?
I think the part that I've really appreciated about CS50 is that before college I hadn't taken any computer science classes at all, but I was really interested in it. And I think it was really a good introduction in that it was fast-paced and it forced me to push myself, but it was definitely, all in all, manageable.
Good. How about you, Jenny? What do you think?
I thought it was super fun. I really loved working on the problem sets, and also they gave you an opportunity to not only solve problems, but to add in your own twist on it. Yeah, so I like that part.
Yeah, okay, so here's another question. So let's say I'm a high school student. Why should I take CS50?
You should take CS50 because it's awesome and it's so much fun, and you learn so much and you get to meet some really cool people.
And I would just say that it's a good experience to take CS50 in that it definitely tends to push you to your breaking points, and because of that, it strengthens you as a person. And you have to deal with frustration and occasional contingencies, but that's part of the learning experience. And I don't think that there are many other classes in which you get to do that.
Yeah. And so any thoughts on the project itself? How was it? A lot of long nights. How was the hackathon?
So Jenny and I tend not to procrastinate, so we're both from North Carolina, so we actually worked on it while we were both there.
No.
And
whoa, that's dedication.
But otherwise, we also broke 2 workspaces and 1 Twitter API, so computer science can be finicky business.
How'd you break Twitter's API?
We actually exceeded our data limit. We made too many requests.
Oh, man. You broke 2 workspaces.
Yeah.
Yes.
We overdid our disk quota. So we broke my workspace, we broke his workspace, and now we're currently being temporarily hosted on a friend's workspace.
Oh my god. You guys are insane. How's our analysis thing doing? And so, like, what exactly does it do?
So what the analysis does is that it parses tweets for proper nouns. So we're currently tweeting the actual proper nouns that we're extracting.
Okay.
And if we look through these, we'll actually see your name, Neil Meta, in there.
Okay.
So it counts the occurrences. So it's currently counting how many times your name has occurred.
Okay.
And once it reaches a certain threshold for your name, then it invokes another function that actually compares that proper noun against our database of celebrities.
That's really, really cool. What gave you this idea? And, like, what made you want to use natural language processing for this kind of stuff?
Earlier this year, when the Harvard Lampoon awarded Jimmy Fallon with some sort of comedy award, we missed the entire parade and his presence on campus, so we decided that we would make the remedy.
Nice, nice. Any words of wisdom for future CS50 students? Now that you've been through it and you've come out much stronger, you had a lot of fun, what's the future students think?
I would definitely start P-sets early and go to section and meet all of the TFs because they're all so cool and helpful and nice.
They're also celebrities, right?
They're also,
and they're
all
also on
celebrities.
Harvard campus. They're also
Yeah.
on Harvard campus all the time. Cool. So how's everything looking?
It has finished running, so it should have set.
Cool.
Do the query from search. Do the query from
Has it not?
Yeah, no, it's search query.
So right now we're just trying to make sure that I'm getting the text message from the guy, from everyone, or what?
Yeah.
Cool. 2 E's, 2 E's. Well, let's see if I get it. So the goal is ultimately that I will get a text message saying that I am on campus.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really, really cool. You planning to roll this out anywhere after you're done?
I'm sorry?
Planning to roll this out anywhere, publish it?
We are not certain yet, but we
All right.
definitely, before doing that, need a legitimate API.
Check it out. So Neil Mehta has been detected on Harvard campus. Visit the URL /verify.php to confirm or deny this spotting. All right, let's see it.
So we go
Let's see.
to the confirm a sighting.
All right.
We select, so Neil's been spotted, and then you can confirm it.
All right.
And then you should get another text saying that the spotting of Neil has been confirmed.
All right.
No, it won't be from the same number.
Okay. Aha. The sighting of Neil Mehta has been confirmed. That's sick. That's really, really sick. That's so cool. Dude, I'm going to use this from now on. Wow. Okay. That's really awesome. All right, guys. So thank you so much for being on air. Last thing, just to sign off, just say your names and say this is CS50.
My name is Jenny, and this is CS50.
I'm Juan, and this is CS50.
I am Neil, and this is CS50. Thank you guys so much.
Hi there, I'm Zamila, back again with Connor this time, who's a sophomore concentrating in mechanical engineering. So Connor, you're on the ski team, as I can see from your jacket, and I understand you made a ski-related project.
Yes, I did. For my project, I created an application for my Student 2 GPS watch, and the idea was to create something that would allow me to determine how quickly a pair of skis is gliding across the snow.
Okay, very cool.
So, many people don't realize this, but cross-country skiers have many different pairs of skis optimized for different conditions, different snow conditions. And sometimes on race day, it's a little bit tough to be able to tell which pair is really the fastest. Conditions might be in between 2 pairs of skis. It might be doing something funky like snowing or raining. So I kind of wanted to make this subjective decision a little bit more objective.
Okay. How so? How do we do this? Because I'm a Canadian, but and I live really close to Whistler, but I don't know anything about skiing. So
Yeah, so the GPS watch, it gets vertical speed, so going up and down a hill, horizontal speed, so how fast you're moving, and I also have hooked up to a heart rate monitor to determine how hard you're working.
Okay.
So by using those 3 data points, I was able to determine how quickly that pair of skis is moving. Because if you start working harder, you would expect yourself to either increase your pace or maintain the pace going up a hill. If you go down a hill, you should start to go faster, and those kinds of things. So I wanted to really make something that would isolate how quickly the pair of skis is gliding.
okay, so how do we interact with this interface here then? How do
Okay.
the skis then communicate to?
So all the code that I wrote is running on the watch, but I was able to download it onto the computer. Soon2's parent company, MovesCount, has this really nice interface where you can look at all the graphs for everything. And over here, I had to test it because there's no snow right now. I was using roller skis, which was kind of nice because they have speeds printed right on the wheels.
Okay, so you're able to compare that to.
Yeah. Most companies have a simple 3-2-1 system. So I took my speed 3 wheels, one of my teammates' speed 2 wheels, skied 1 lap with each, and compared them head to head. And in fact, I found that the faster pair on the right had a ski speed coefficient of 14.11, and the slower pair had a ski speed coefficient of 11.72. So the data was corroborating what was actually the case, which was really cool. It was also really good to see that the data that I got is essentially a flat line, because that means that it wasn't impacted by changes in heart rate, changes in elevation. So it didn't really matter how hard I was working. I was just able to go ski and keep it relatively the same, and everything was accounted for, all the variables.
Cool. So is this something that your fellow teammates are excited about? Do you think it's something you're going to continue developing? Or?
Yeah. So over Thanksgiving camp, I sent out an email to all my teammates and was like, "Hey, could I get some of your data? Because I know a lot of them ski with heart rate monitors and GPS watches." And they were all sure. They thought it was super cool. Yeah. And my coach, I talked to him about a bunch about it because he could see it being very useful in testing wax on the morning of a race. Because, I mean, me as a skier, I have maybe 8 pairs of skis. As a coach testing, he has 20 pairs. So it's just even more. And so he could definitely see this being something that he would use on the morning of a race to just kind of weed out some of the really bad or really good ones and kind of narrow in a little bit quicker. So save a little bit of time, which is very, very useful when you're waking up at 5 a.m. to test skis in the bitter cold of the New England winter.
Very cool. So what aspect of CS50 do you think prepared you best for making this project and for taking it forward?
I would have to say just the general problem-solving skills, because the coding wasn't terribly tricky. The hardest part was definitely the sports science and data analysis, because I had to go through and look at a ton of different skiers. I looked through professional skiers' data, collegiate skiers' data, like I said, my teammates, and I was trying to figure out how to make all the inputs, so all the different speeds, the heart rates, all that stuff, how to make that make sense and spit out a number that was reasonable. Because one number from all these data points, that was the tricky part.
Yeah.
So.
Had you taken any computer science courses before this?
I had not. CS50 was the first one.
Very cool. So if you were in high school then, what would be a reason for you to take CS50, I guess, if you were in high school?
Ooh, so definitely if you have any interest at all in how computers work, any interest in computer science. Truthfully, as a mechanical engineer, I don't have a whole lot of leeway in the classes I take, and CS50 was a required class, so that was why I took it. But it's definitely taught me a bunch about how, computers are such an integral part of life. Yeah. So how all of that works. And I'm not going to pretend to understand how everything works, but I have more of an appreciation for it, which is nice.
No, that's very awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing your project with us.
Yeah,
my name is Samila.
And my name is Connor. And this is CS50.
Hi, my name's Connor Doyle. I'm here with CS50 to interview Jack. How are you doing, Jack? How's it going?
I'm doing great, man.
Brilliant. So, Jack's going to walk us through his CS50 project. Jack, please.
All right,
take it away.
so I'm Jack Kelly. I'm a Harvard 19, and I made Subspace. So Subspace is an events app for you and your friends. It's for the Harvard College area.
Sure.
So here's a little about section. Basically, we created this to help students find events on campus. You can submit your own events and basically just have fun. So first things first, we're gonna just log in. Let's see if we can just log in here. All right, so we're all logged in, right? And the first thing we want to do is go to our calendar, right? So we've got the Subspace calendar on the bottom and the Harvard Events calendar on top. So on the bottom, it's events that are submitted by users. Now, right now we don't have any users, so we've only got the one event. But on top, we've got a lot of examples. So we're gonna click here. So for one event, right, if we want to find like how to get there, we've got the map. So we can just click on here and get directions to the event. So let's say we're coming from Harvard Square. We actually can get directions right to the event.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. And then we've also got an agenda view. So if you just want to scroll through, you can find all these things. So let's say you wanted to add this event to your calendar. You can just copy it to your Google Calendar just like that and save it right here.
It's really useful.
So yeah, and another cool feature is we want to really cater towards students, right? So if you wanted to submit your own event, you can submit one right here. So for example, if I wanted to type all this in, let's say I'm going to throw a party, right?
You like throwing parties, Jack?
I hope so. I really do.
Why?
Let's say we're throwing a party tomorrow.
Invited.
In WIG, yeah. We'll throw it. You're always invited. So we're going to throw it in the WIG B common room at 8 p.m. because, we're old now. We got to start our parties late, and we'll just have pizza, right? And why not cookies, too? And we can submit this, right? And it's submitted to our PHP MyAdmin database, and we'll either approve or disapprove of the event. And if it's approved, we can actually go here and view on the calendar, right? So actually, we have Brian's birthday, which is actually on Wednesday.
Brian?
Yeah, Brian's birthday. My birthday is actually tomorrow, but it is actually, yeah.
Wow.
And then one really cool feature is campus maps. So we have this other, if it'll load here, it's a cool feature. So you can favorite your favorite spaces on campus. So if you wanted to go to, for example, the Department of Economics, you can star it right there. So let's say I wanted to go to the Science Center, and I could save it right there. So it's under my favorite places.
That's really
cool. And then the last cool feature is actually this plus feature right here. You just click the plus. We'll see if it'll load. It doesn't look like it's gonna work today, but
that's cool. I get a picture of exactly what you're trying to achieve here. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
What goes into making something like this?
So it was a lot of sleepless nights, and basically we just thought of how can we help spread the social scene around Harvard. So what we did is we had Bootstrap 3, and that helped get a lot of the front page stuff. For example, we could get the background imaging and make it look pretty clean. And on the background, we had PHP. We used HTML to actually get the text and stuff up. And altogether, it was a lot of different stuff. But yeah.
What skills do you think CS50? Did you have any coding experience before?
Coming in, I had no coding experience.
Wow.
I never written a line of code. And I honestly didn't think I'd be able to go through the whole course. I was just kind of shopping it. But I was really interested in computer science. So I think that CS really taught me how to pursue something that I didn't really know about. Coming in, again, I had no experience, but now I built a site in a matter of a few days, and I think it really teaches you to continue with something, because a lot of times it's easy to just give up and think, wow, I can't do that, but it really teaches you to make an idea, and not only that, but believe in that idea. And I really appreciate that.
That's wicked, yeah. And would you if you were a high school student, do you think taking CS50 would be something?
Yeah. I would love to take CS50, especially if I were in high school. I think it's a great course, and I think it's a great way to get interested in computer science, especially for college if you're unsure about what you want to concentrate in. So I would definitely recommend taking it in high school if you have the opportunity.
Well, fantastic, Jack. Thank you very much. So that's Jack's project, guys. Check in back later for some more incredible CS50 Fair projects.
I'm Jack Kelly, and this is CS50.
I'm Connor Doyle, and this is also CS50.
Hello again, my name is Neil. I'm a TF for CS50. I'm here with Jacob at the Grad School of Design, who has a pretty cool project he wants to show. So you want to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your project?
Sure. My name is Jacob. I'm a student at the Graduate School of Design here at Harvard. My project is called Archisphere, and it's, sorry, not Archisphere, Archiverse. And it's meant to be an interactive design tool for architectural designers. So it basically provides a hypothetical project site And you can start to populate this site with program blocks and change the variables of those program blocks, such as the scaling, the dimensions, and in real time get feedback for the square footage, as well as be able to change the materiality. And then using the leap motion and gesture interaction, using pinch gestures, you can start to pick and place those blocks on the project site, and also be able to simulate the sun angles, so you can start to perceive how shadows are affecting your design and change the scale of your character so that you can.
Cool. Sounds really cool. You want to do a quick demo? Just
Yeah,
see
sure.
what it's plugged in? So I'll hold the mic for you.
So this is our project site. We have a couple hypothetical buildings. There's a river running through it. And this is a test block, just so you can start to get a feel for how you're set up in terms of your distance to the block. And so I can start to pick it up and move it where I want it to go. And by releasing it, we'll set it in a certain spot. And now what I want to do is generate a series of program blocks. So by using a circle gesture, I can now create a new instance of this block. And I'll go ahead and move that out of the way here. I need some sensitivity adjustments, but let's see if we can set up a couple blocks and start messing around with it. All right, great, 4 blocks. So now what I want to do is pull up my user interface, my GUI, and I can start to use the left hand. So now this is basically how I can start to adjust the different parameters for a block. What you see here spinning is a reference block, and I'll turn on the area so that I can see what I'm working with. And by moving these sliders, I can scale my x-axis, my y-axis, and my z-axis. And in real time, I'm able to see, all right, so maybe my target is about 5 square meters on a program block. And I'm happy with that area. And I can start to change the materiality as well. And so I've got about 10 options here. You can set up whatever you want, but I like this one here, the glass mosaic. And now that I'm happy with my reference block, I can start to move around to the blocks that I've already populated on my site. And by touching the reference block, I can transfer the properties to my base blocks. And let's say I want to have 2 of them like this, and then I want to have a different materiality for my other 2. So let's go change it to wood planks. Let me make it a little bit smaller. Yeah, about there. And let's go ahead and touch the reference block. And we're going to transfer the properties here. So let's say we're happy with this. We can turn this GUI off. And what I want to do is start to pick and place these objects on my site. And I won't go into the full composition step. It could actually take a while if you're a true architectural designer to find something you're happy with. But when you can pick and place pieces as if you were picking and placing physical objects, it starts to kind of bring back the hands-on craft of architectural design. So, all right, just for demo's sake, let's say we're happy with this as a project site. And what we do next is maybe start to simulate things such as the sun angles. So I can pull up a sun slider here and see how the surrounding buildings are starting to affect what my composition has generated.
That's really cool.
And then I can also set the sun to just play on auto. I'll turn my GUI off. And then I can walk around by changing my character scale to be either larger so I can get a bird's eye perspective, or just get down to a street level view where I can see what I've done, see how it's going to affect using street level, and just see how shadows are going to interplay.
Oh yeah, looks awesome. So you're at the grad school of design.
Yeah, exactly.
So how does this impact your work there, and how do you plan to use it going forward?
I think this impacts my work there in the sense that I'm trying to look at new ways of designing and new tools for designers that start to blend a hands-on approach with a digital approach. I think very heavily now the field has become interested in digital design tools and parametric modeling techniques. So this provides new opportunities that are maybe not fully discovered, but this is, I think, at the beginning stages. And what I'd like to do next is trying to integrate the aspect of virtual reality. So you eliminate usage of one hand, which is a mouse click. You start to look around with your head. And I think then you can get sort of maybe also introducing some tactile feedback. So when you do touch a block, you have some ability to understand that you are interacting on a physical level.
Very, very cool. The intersections that we see here at CS50 are really, really amazing. You're a very great case in point.
Yeah.
So here's one question. So if you're like a high school student or a college student, whatever, and you're thinking about taking CS50, what would you tell them? What would you say to them? Why take CS50?
I think CS50 is incredibly useful, not just if you're intending to become a computer scientist, but just the process of problem solving, having to like break down a problem into smaller parts so that you can, come up with new solutions. This is incredibly useful. But also, I think the more and more that every industry is advancing through in time here, it's just computer science is it's going to be a part of any field. So the more that you know about computer science, the better off you're going to be in any field, not just programming field.
It's a very good example. All right, Jacob, thank you so much. It's been an amazing, amazing project, and best of luck to you.
Thank
so
you.
Just to sign off, you want to say your name, and this is CS50?
Hey, I'm Jacob Hammond, this is CS50.
Hi there, I'm back with James, a junior in mechanical engineering, who's made a really cool flight simulation website. So can you tell us a little bit more about your project?
Yeah, absolutely. So this simulator is written in JavaScript. All of the displays are in the HTML canvas tag. And what happens is there's several random number generators in the JavaScript that will generate aircraft to come into your airspace with a heading, a velocity, and a destination, or requested destination. And so your job as the air traffic controller is to redirect the aircraft to their proper destination while avoiding any distance infractions or collisions.
Okay, so how do I do this?
All right, so you would choose an aircraft from this list box. Its aircraft information will display over here. And so right now we say, okay, well, we're flight JetBlue 466, and let's fly that on the screen. That's right here. So its desired destination is Fort Lauderdale, which is heading 135. So let's add it heading 135, and let's increase its speed to 550 knots to get them out of the airspace fast. So now we'll see that this aircraft is now directed downward towards Fort Lauderdale. And so we have a lot of aircraft in the airspace right now, so we'll probably start to get some distance warnings. So these three aircraft, which are highlighted in yellow now, we can see that they are below a certain distance away from one another, which which deducts, displays a warning over here and deducts your air traffic score.
Oh, okay, so you're actually getting like kind of scored live as you're trying to manage the air traffic.
So
Okay, cool.
the different distance infractions will deduct different numbers of points from your score.
Okay, so what happens? So flights get close to one to another. They display there, and then you're supposed to then redirect those planes already.
So you want to your objective is to get these aircraft out of the airspace as quickly as you can, because the fewer aircraft you have, the fewer collisions you're going to have. And there are different levels of distance warning.
Right,
You
I see the
yellow
orange
and
over there.
orange, and we might get a red soon. The red means they're less than 1 mile away from each other, which is a very bad condition to have.
Okay, so what if I'm a really bad air traffic controller and I end up sending like that JetBlue plane right back to Boston? Am I able to do that, or
You could do that. You won't get any deductions, but you also won't get any,
Okay, so you mentioned this. You wrote this in JavaScript. What was the toughest part you think about like the
most
the
difficult
toughest,
part
to make?
was the geometry and the geography.
Yeah.
There are several different. So the coordinates of the aircraft are computed in latitude, longitude, and the angle calculations, the vector calculations, converting that to draw it on the screen, and then back to lat longe to update the coordinates. That was the toughest part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a course, generally CS50, I know for engineers it's a required course. How did you? Okay, so there's.
So we get a summary of the results once your score gets down to 0.
All right, so we didn't pay attention well enough. Okay, so right, so as an engineer, you had to take CS50. How do you think CS50 is helpful for your engineering career?
Well, so we have to use a lot of software that involves basic coding, but running a lot of data analysis and figuring out, learning how to do loops and do basic functions and structures in several different languages is definitely help. So I can now use MATLAB or Mathematica or other programs comfortably.
Yeah. Now you're part of the Eco Marathon team, right? Are you guys like doing any coding or anything for that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Our electrical team needs to be working on that.
Okay. All right, but perhaps that'll come into play.
Absolutely.
As well. Now, had you done any computer science or any study before CS50?
No, this was my first time, so it was a whole new world out there.
Yeah. So say you're back in high school, haven't come to college yet. Why would you, as a high school student, take CS50?
Well, so you get introduced to a lot of different languages, a lot of the sort of important things that computers can do, right? You get introduced to C, where it's just the logic. You get introduced to web programming. The cool new component of AI this year was really neat. You get to sort of, for someone who knew nothing about computer science coming in, it was a good survey of what's out there and also just like what coding means.
Yeah. No, very cool. Well, thanks so much for speaking with us.
Absolutely.
My name is Zamila.
And my name is James.
And this
is CS50.
Hello again. My name is Neil. I'm a TA for CS50. I'm here with my section student, Kevin Yoon.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Kevin. I'm a freshman in Matthews studying mechanical engineering and computer science.
Yeah, so you made a really cool website here as your final project. You
I
want to tell us a bit about what it is?
Okay, so I made a website for the Harvard College Current International Student Association, and I'm part of that. And the website was created because the organization currently lacks a website, and we wanted to reach a wider audience through this website.
Definitely.
And
yeah, so want to walk me through a couple of the key features?
yeah, so I think the most interesting thing on the very first page when you actually access the web page is that we are able to create a slideshow of the past images.
Very cool.
And this image you see on the screen right now is actually what we took last night at the Christmas party.
Oh, nice.
And let's see, on the gallery page, for example, when you go and click on an image,
Wow.
it shows an enlarged image,
Really cool, wow.
and it displays the caption that was originally hidden.
Yeah.
And we use something called Bootbox to make the alert look a lot more attractive.
Sweet.
And
it looks really good, dude.
Thank you so much. And then when you go to donate page,
Yeah.
what we did was we decided to gather some data about the user. So the user would put like the name, phone number, and like some kind of notes, and we would store that into our MySQL database. Also, we incorporated PayPal's API so that as soon as this association makes an actual PayPal account, we could make this link actually work and go live.
Very cool. So what are some of the interesting challenges you faced when doing this?
I think the most interesting thing and the most difficult thing, I should say, was figuring out how to link the API into the website.
Yeah.
Also, making the CS50 queries that we learned in CS50 Finance. And then lastly, incorporating Bootstrap and JavaScript into the website.
Yeah, we talked about it, so it was a little complicated.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it looks
yeah.
really good at the end.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so what was your motivation for doing this project?
So the organization needed a way to reach a wider audience, and we decided that throughout the web, using a web page would be like the most efficient way.
Yeah, you need a web presence, right?
Yeah.
I think it's really great that you're doing this kind of stuff that will have a lasting impact on the Harvard community. You know,
Yeah.
really help this group that needs this presence to really continue to thrive.
And I think this website can actually be used for the organization, so I think this is a lot more practical.
So are we planning to release it to the organization, or what's the next step?
Yeah, so we're actually currently talking with the organization to actually make a PayPal account. Then we
Nice.
can make this API work, eventually make this go live.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, so more general about CS50. What are a couple highlights of your time at CS50? Besides our sections.
Of course, the sections are the best, but I think the most challenging thing about CS50 is, figuring out and kind of swimming in that ocean by yourself, along with the help from other TFs and fellow students, and really taking the time to not only do the PSATs, but understanding why and how to work it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm pretty sure I had a lot of great time at the office hours, along with Neil's section. I had a lot of fun asking like really silly questions, but really trying to understand what's going on behind the scenes.
And that's a really, really good thing.
Yeah, thank you.
So why should someone who's in high school take CS50?
I think before we really learn how to do something, we should understand how it is really done.
Definitely.
And CS50 allows us to really think about like the algorithms, like recursion, and also go beyond C programming language and learn about like the web development. And also, I remember this year we had some series about like artificial intelligence, and that really allows us to kind of branch out of our comfort zone and learn something new.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a really awesome opportunity. I'm so glad you got to be part of it.
Thank you so much, Neil.
Any closing words?
For future people who will be taking CS50, just do it. There's no other way.
Just do it, right?
Just do it. Just do
All
it.
right, dude. All right, so to close, why don't you say your name and this is CS50?
Well, my name is Kevin Yoon, and this was CS50.
My name is Neil, and this is CS50. My name is Neil. I'm a TA for CS50, and I'm here with a couple students who have a very cool website to show off. So why don't you introduce yourselves real fast, then introduce your project.
My name is Kavya Patak. I'm a junior in Winthrop.
My name is Jessica Herman. I'm a junior in Career House. I'm Tara Murti. I'm a sophomore in Elliott House.
Cool. So tell me a bit about your project. What is it? What does it do?
Sure. So we three are bioengineering, and so we thought we would make something that we could really use and that a lot of people we know would use. So the PubMed database is used all the time, and
What is the PubMed database?
Sure, the PubMed database is the largest scientific database on the web, so people use it all the time to find articles, look at journals, things like that. And we thought, wouldn't it be great to make our own website, personalize the PubMed experience?
Cool. Okay.
Sure, so through our website, users have the ability to search for articles directly through the PubMed database, but using our own interface. When users see an article that they want to save for later or perhaps use in a bibliography citation, they can press the Save button and they can choose a special category name for that article and save and later peruse that article within a magazine entitled with that same tag name.
Yeah, so we've all three done a lot of science in college, and we've worked in labs, and one of the big problems that we've faced is that PubMed intrinsically does not have a great way to search and save your articles. And this collating function is super useful when you're doing a lit review.
Yeah, sure.
And this is what we do.
Sounds awesome. So why don't you give me a little demo of this in real time, and let's see how it works.
For sure. All right. So we're going to start by logging in.
You can definitely register for an account, but we'll just log in with an account. So it takes you into the website.
All right.
And if you're a new user, then you can look into your magazine stand, but there won't be anything there yet because you haven't saved any articles. But just as a view of what could come, you can see a magazine stand that we created here, which has articles that we've saved under the tag name Brain, Heart, Immunotherapy, Radio, and Read Later.
Okay.
And these are all ones that we did in any order. They don't have to be consecutive.
Right.
So we can continue to search. So say I'm now interested in learning more about diabetes. So maybe I'd look into that. And I'll look through,
cool. Wow.
and right here itself, I can get the title, which is also linked to the PubMed site, the authors, the journal, the abstract in its full, and then I can also just click the Save button. So say this second one looks interesting. I can then type in diabetes.
It's like a subsection to sort of.
Sure, yeah, it's exactly. So the diabetes will be the title of a magazine that I create.
Okay. Oh, okay. Sure.
So now I have diabetes saved, and I can search for another article, or I can now check out my magazine stand again, and it will be updated to have diabetes in alphabetical order. So I can come look again, and once again I can go look at the site and then get more information there. But here I have a personalized record of all that I want to see.
Cool. So how did you guys query the PubMed database?
So we used an existing PubMed API wrapper, and that Tara and Jesse found. And so what that does is it's functionality that's been built by someone else to go through, search the database, and display results.
Cool.
And so some of the things that we worked with were how to display those results, how to then pull, save, and display them in these tile
Looks
formats.
really, really cool. So what are your next steps with this? It seems like a very useful tool.
Well, there are probably some user experience things that we can make a little bit friendlier.
Sure,
The ability to save the same article to different magazines might be useful.
Sure.
Condensing the abstracts sometimes the long ones can look a little bulkier.
I think another feature that we're really interested in expanding is finding other ways to integrate this website into the entire research literature search that someone in a lab or in an institution would be performing. So that could perhaps involve creating a bibliography reference from the currently saved articles, maybe linking into a way for the users to actually start writing research that they would be composing, or more directly integrating these sources now that they have them saved in this interface.
Very cool. Awesome. So it's a couple of more general things. Any big highlights of CS50? I'm sure there are a bunch, but like a couple of the more interesting ones.
I think that this project was particularly exciting.
It's really, really cool. It's so cool you guys found something you're interested in and did something that's genuinely useful, you know? That's what we're all about.
Right, so I think it was really exciting to work on this. I mean, we're three friends, so I think to spend time together working on this and to bounce ideas, to find creative ways to come up with solutions using what we knew in terms of CS, but using all the other ideas of how we would want it as a user made it really exciting.
It's really, really cool. Cool, yeah, so here's a question. What would you, so for a high school student, why should they take CS50? What would you tell them?
I think that CS wasn't emphasized in my high school so much, and the ability to create something by yourself and to build something is beautiful and cool, and is something that I didn't even really understand until I got here. And I think high school students would 100% benefit from envisioning something and then having the tools to physically create it and be like, wow, this is mine.
Yeah, very well said.
I think that another main reason would also just be how applicable computer science is to a variety of fields. Not only if you're planning to study computer science as your concentration, but also we're engineering students and we've worked with various
This is amazing.
programs, and this will definitely assist us in the future.
Awesome. Any last words?
Thank you.
Yeah, so to sign off, why don't you just say your names, and this is CS50.
I'm Kavya, and this was CS50.
I'm Jessie, and this was CS50.
I'm Tara, and this was CS50.
What is airing right now if not this? Now? Now, world. Hello, world, and goodbye, world. This was the CS50 Fair. It's 4:30 p.m. The fourth and final shift is coming to an end. We're just about out of food and candy and cotton candy and indeed energy at this point in the day. It's been a whirlwind day, an incredible semester, and amazingly, we're going to do the whole thing again this coming Monday at Yale University. Tune in fact, to live.cs50.net when we're live at Yale University. Monday, December 14th, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. More CS50, more Yale. This was just Harvard. This was CS50.